Nature is the perfect addition to your wanderlust lifestyle. Merry Christmas! This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We don't have a city budget yet in Chicago, but we do have a new director of reentry.
What is that?
Brandon Johnson announcing the appointment of a director of reentry to lead an office to help people leaving prison, reintegrating into society. And the person he selected is a gentleman named Joseph Mapp, who worked as director of reentry at Precious Blood Ministry of Reconciliation for 3 years and has served on the Illinois Coalition for Higher Education in prison since 2022. Here was that momentous announcement.
While Joseph will serve as the director of reentry, he will also be a part of a bigger picture to build a better, stronger, safer, more inclusive society here in our wonderful city. His work will directly align with our people's plan for community safety. Again, access to mental health services, affordable housing, vital support that's critical for the transformation of these women and men who deserve every bit of our love and in our investments. I have full confidence in him. I really do. And he's the right person for this job. And it is really, truly my honor to bring the new director of reentry. Y'all help me welcome Joseph Mapp.
Thank you all for coming. I see
you.
many familiar faces, so this seems like a safe space. So I can definitely begin.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to say for somebody who served 26 years in prison as for being an accomplice to an armed robbery that led to murder that happened in 1993. But again, I believe in reconciliation, believe in most people are going to get out of prison, and there does need to be a protocol to try to decrease the incidence of recidivism. And we've talked to many people in this space, criminal justice space, including our friend John Ponder, who runs Hope for Prisoners out in Clark County, Nevada, who's done an incredible job, and he was a former career criminal too. So it can happen, and I'm fine with it. But I just would like a little bit more information, not about Joseph Mapp necessarily, but if he was had this background doing a reentry at a ministry in Chicago for 3 years, a relatively short period of time. What's his program? I mean, you always say, like, oh, we have, this is sort of like the personification of press release politics. Well, we're going to set up an agency. We're going to have a director. Here he is. Let's applaud. What's the program?
Yeah, I know.
What's the track record? Why are we to have confidence and collectively make an investment in this person in this office? You know, what can we anticipate the results will be? Not just the inputs, not just the backslapping over we care about trying to reduce recidivism and reenter convicted felons into society to be productive citizens, but you and your approach are the best available person and approach.
Well, and how many people do they plan to help? What's their goal? How does the process work? I mean, my foster son's going to be getting out of jail soon. Can they help someone like him integrate back into society? I mean, and other people. I mean, I just
right. That's the whole point. What is the tell me?
I'm asking.
Let me see what. Let's see. Look at 6 models of success, like Hope for Prisoners, one example, and let's bump that up against what you're proposing. And if you've been running this program somewhere else, what have been the results? It's not that complicated, particularly against the backdrop of a power structure in Chicago that is intent on emptying the prisons. I'm talking about Preckwinkle, I'm talking about BLM Brandon, and I'm talking about Judge Tim Evans, too.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line, and you don't have to put in DA, just your comment.
The whole Brandon Johnson, BLM Brandon has been running around this week making all sorts of investments. And again, as I started, sans a budget. But there's always money to congratulate yourself. There's always money to invest in policies, programs, agencies that are aligned with your race identity politics.
I'll be doggone if I'll allow anybody in this room or anybody in this city make me flinch when it comes to investing in public education. Ain't nobody in this city, no one in this position has ever had more standing in public education than this mayor. I've taught in our schools, I'll send my children to these schools, and I'll be doggone if someone tries to reduce my power after the people of Chicago voted me to transform this city. Guess what? We are going to transform this city whether you are with this formation or not, and if you're not with it, you might as well join the in crowd now, because people's lives are depending on us getting it right.
You know what that reminded me of? Remember when Obama said, Republicans, you can come along, but you got to get on the back of the bus? Just reminded me of that.
That was at the City Club.
Yeah.
So you're a product of CPS. You taught in CPS. I wouldn't run around bragging about that, particularly because you're not a shining example of someone who has gotten a stellar education and then has returned the favor. Clearly, you want to talk about outcomes, consequences, return on investment. And it's just another boring case study, frankly, of saying, okay, invest in education. You're all morally indignant. It's all very impressive. So we spent $30,000 per kid, as we talked to Ted Dabrowski earlier this week. Less than half of that makes it to the classroom. So what's the number? Same question we have for Stacey Davis Gates and every mayor before BLM Brandon and every CTU boss before Stacey Davis Gates. What's the number? What's the magic number? And you just some follow-up questions. Does it matter what percentage of that is directly tied to instruction versus benefits and administrative staff? Does it matter that administrative staff has the increase in administrative staff has far eclipsed the increase in student population? In fact, they're going in opposite directions. Staff is increasing while student population is declining. Does any of that matter? I just want people on the record on these questions. Give me a number Tell me what that number is going to produce, and then what the consequences are if that number doesn't produce what you say it's going to produce. Explain to me the system. Explain to me your program, just like I would say to Joseph Mapp. Explain to me what it is you're going to do that provides a value add to reducing recidivism, and what's your track record. Well, it's the same thing here. So the administrative staff continue to pile up what they call wraparound service personnel and so forth. Just explain to me. Explain to me what it's going to produce, what the delta is, and how you personally believe you should be held accountable for the commitments you're making.
That's not going to happen. I mean,
for the outcomes of your program.
If you're speaking about numbers, CTU has gone down in their demands. It was 9%. Now they want a 6% salary increase for each of the first 2 years, and then 5% for years 3 and 4. Because they're heading toward a strike in February.
Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. You talk about this thing coming out of prison. I went to grammar school with a guy who started a foundation here in Chicago called A Safe Haven. And they've got dozens and dozens of buildings all over the country where they take guys coming out of prison and then they get money to house them and help them do this and that. This guy and his wife have become excessively rich in the process of doing this. I mean, they get like several $1,000s per month per person. They go out, buy buildings, of course, take them off the tax rolls because it's a nonprofit, and they've got about a dozen other companies that they do landscaping and building and contracting and so on and so forth. And they're in dozens of cities that get money from the federal government, state governments, local governments, and have just become just incredibly rich in the process of doing this. It's another way of scamming the taxpayers. It never ends, man. You guys have a good weekend.
Well, I wonder how much we're paying this new hire. Does anybody know? Did anybody even ask at the press conference? Because we're so strapped for cash right now. And why does he have so many deputy mayors? And I thought of you, Dan, yesterday because Deputy Mayor Walter Burnett, you're the one who said it. We're going to raise your property taxes $300 million. Now we're only going to do it $68 million. This is something to celebrate.
Yes, there would be a $68 million property tax increase instead of a $300 million property tax increase. Definitely.
Definitely something to celebrate.
So what that is there in terms of government math, that's a $232 million property tax cut.
You're doing it.
Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Thank you for taking my call. I just heard that fella talk about that outfit that operates one way where they're all getting rich. Well, there's on the other side of the coin, there's my brother's a chaplain with Cook County Sheriff's Department, and he goes to, the prison system in California. There's 2 programs. Starts in the jail system, Life Learning Dorm and Boot Camp for first-time offenders, where it's a thing of they hear about God and their interest in learning about coming to knowledge of a Savior and becoming saved. And then if they basically are the real deal, and that it becomes pretty evident in that. And then there's a program outside there where it's this Restoration Ministries. These are people that do it all. Some of them pretty wealthy. They give their money. They do it. They're not taking any federal money. This is all volunteer. My brother does it all volunteer. He does all volunteer stuff.
Yeah.
And it works. That system actually, where these people are real and everything, really does work. But where you involve the government with all this free money, he's probably right. But I know a whole program, a couple of different things. Starts in the jail. It follows outside the jail when they get out and everything. These are all volunteers spending their own money in it. And you got guys. It's a successful thing. They don't go back. They learn a trade when they get out.
Yeah. No, I get it. Thanks for the call, Craig. That's what you're looking for, models of success, proven, either people or programs with proven track records. So I'm certainly open-minded on that topic. In terms of Safe Haven, I've met Nellie Vasquez. She's the co-founder with her husband, Brian Rowland. I assume that's who Greg from Jefferson Park was talking about. But and so I don't know enough about that philanthropic, that nonprofit to speak intelligently about it. So I'm not I'm not agreeing with Greg from Jefferson's Park perspective on it or not. There are a lot of worthy nonprofits that do a lot of good work, and there are people in the nonprofit space that make a good living, and that's fine, in context. So I'm more interested in inputs and outputs than in counting other people's money, frankly. Matt in Mount Greenwood.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Just a couple things. I find it ironic that the policy set forth by primarily the Democrats with the welfare state have created this society that we live in and just funnel people to prison or criminal activity. And then, secondly, there's a gentleman I know down in Memphis, Tennessee, who does remarkable work without one penny of government cheese and changes lives. He really focuses on addicts, but many addicts become prisoners. He changes these lives and builds homes, and he actually gets them involved, teaches them. Like Craig said from Mount Greenwood, there's also a component of God in this thing, and he does remarkable work, and the metrics show it. There's not going to be any metrics. And now, yesterday I heard that they're allocating $5 million to this effort in Chicago. But
yeah, $5 million more dollars they don't have. Thanks for the call, Matt. Coming up at 5:38, we'll turn our attention to another aspect of Big Blue City disintegration. Eric Adams addressing the Daniel Penny case. Really interesting. 5:38.
Can't wait. But now let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. It's 17 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The suspected gunman who assassinated that United Healthcare CEO outside of a Manhattan Hilton on Wednesday morning reportedly carried a fake New Jersey ID. The New York Post is reporting that the suspect, who's still on the run, used the fake ID to check into a hotel on the Upper West Side. Police have released clear photos of the unnamed suspect, including one that shows him smiling before he allegedly shot Brian Thompson to death. The Illinois Commerce Commission's reducing portions of Illinois American Water's rate increase request for water and sewer services. ICC's decision decreases Illinois American Water's rate request by around 30% for an overall increase of $110 million. Starting July 1st of next year, Illinois American Water will expand its existing low-income discount program to provide 10 to 80% monthly total bill credit for eligible customers. News is a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Executive Green Carpet Cleaning, and by Valdecast Windows and Doors. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They are a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
$20 million. No, it's not the national debt. It's the buying spree at Fox Valley Coins. And it's on from now until Thanksgiving. It's really the perfect storm. Gold and silver are at historic levels. Fox Valley Coins has a huge order to fill with one of their national clients. And September through Thanksgiving is always when coin dealers stock up for Christmas sales. They are especially looking for the old collector coins like silver dollars, all 1700s through early 1900s coins. All kinds of gold from broken jewelry to gold bars to the old coins, U.S. and foreign. All kinds of silver from sterling silverware to old coins and bars to Franklin Mint items. They can pay cash or check and make house calls on larger deals prior to Thanksgiving. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. They'll make free, no-obligation offers. Make that 20,000,001 reasons to go to Fox Valley Coins now. They give free in-store offers on your items.
The new administration has hinted at one of its boldest moves yet, America's return to the gold standard. Backing the U.S. dollar with gold would create stability in a time of rapid economic change, pushing the price of gold higher than we've seen in decades. Those who act now could be positioned to benefit the most. Premier Gold specializes in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other types of retirement accounts utilize a little-known loophole to move some of their savings into physical gold. Today, they'd like to send you a free gold standard kit to help you decide if this process is right for you. Call 606-800-8000 to take advantage of current rollover policies. Early action on physical gold could position your portfolio for maximum growth. Call Premier Gold at 606-800-8000. Call 606-800-8000 now. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads beginning on the south side, 103rd between Michigan and Martin Luther King Drive. That is currently closed with police activity and an accident in Carroll Stream at Gary and Stark Drive. The road's pretty quiet still inbound Edens, no delays. The Kennedy in from O'Hare is wide open to downtown, and the Eisenhower looks good to get from 390 into the post office. Stevenson in 22-355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 10 minutes on the inbound Ryan. You're flying on that. Skyway I-57 all clear, and the Bishop Ford looks good. No reason to worry along DuSable Lakeshore Drive either way. The Tri-State is fine. Jane Addams and the Reagan look good, and no troubles to report on 355 or 8094. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average. Get your smile back. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Windy and colder today. We'll see intervals of clouds and sunshine. Bitter cold. Be sure to wear layers. We'll see a high of 28. Mainly clear and cold tonight with a low of 16. Brisk and cold tomorrow with periods of clouds and sunshine. High 30. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the jury is still out in the Daniel Penny case, still deliberating. But while that deliberation is ongoing, New York City Mayor Eric Adams has weighed in on the case.
I'm starting to love this guy. I don't know about you.
You know what's happening, I think, to Eric Adams? I think the cop in him is coming out when it comes to matters like illegal immigration, when it comes to matters like lawlessness on the streets of New York City, and Soros-funded de-prosecution or non-prosecution, decarceration, defund the police, prosecutors like, Alvin Bragg. Eric Adams on the Daniel Penny case.
You should look at that on a multi-faceted approach of everything that's wrong with the system that we're facing. One, look at the photo that they used to show the victims. It seemed like it was a young, innocent child who was brutally murdered, and it gave that impression. When you looked at the photo that was being used, it wanted to set up in the minds of people that we were dealing with a young innocent child that, just a Michael Jackson intimidator that, was just brutally assaulted. Then you look at the complete failure of our mental health system, a complete failure from the days of closing psychiatric wards and having those who needed help just turned over into the street without giving any safety net to accept them. Parents reach out to me all the time and say, I'm watching my child go down, or my loved one, my family member going down this serious decline. What do we do? A system where you brought people into hospitals, gave them medicine for one day, and sent them back. The young man in this case was going within our system, throughout the revolving door of our system. Now, we're on the subway where we're hearing someone talking about hurting people, killing people. You have someone on that subway who was responding, doing what we should have done as a city and a state of having a mental health facility. Those passengers were afraid. I'm hoping that the jury will hear all the facts. Based on all the facts that's laid out, a jury of his peers would make the right decision. And I don't want to prejudge that. I'm just looking at all the facts that are involved here and what we did to get to where we are and what we're seeing, because that could have easily been a case where you saw 3 innocent people murdered on our street 2 weeks ago.
So that was back in the day, I should say, with respect to his comments on Daniel Penny, but just pulling them forward as the jury deliberates now. And, the recognition of the city government's failure in that case to put otherwise law-abiding people in that position that they were in the subway. And just Adams talking about things that we all know, but it's different when Eric Adams says it, right? The graduation photo for people who have committed crimes, or for people who were terrorizing other residents of the city, like this Neely guy was. Regardless of whether he was in his right mind, those were his actions, and they engendered a reasonable fear response from people that were subjected to those actions. And yet here's the New York press corps, just like the Chicago press corps would, putting forward Neely as this, artsy Michael Jackson impersonator.
Right.
Like that was the person they encountered, that other New York residents, including Daniel Penny, encountered on that subway on that day.
And you've been saying that for years. Oh, this high school honor student.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way that they portrayed him. But good for Eric Adams, because, thank God this isn't a bench trial, because the prosecutor in this case, Daphna Yoren, we talked about her earlier, that she reduced that felony charge for a murderer who robbed and killed an elderly man. The old professor was at the ATM getting out $300, and he robbed him and he killed him.
She's very proud of it, actually.
So I'm going to give you an example of something that I did with a recent case of mine, and this has never been done in my office. I had a murder case where the defendant did not intentionally kill the victim. He went into an ATM on the Upper West Side and tried to rob an individual. Unfortunately, it was an older individual. He was 86. And in the course of the robbery, he fell to the ground. And as a result, he died.
Oh, my God.
This is, under the law, a felony murder, which is akin to intentional murder. However, when I first got the case, I learned, I took the time to learn about the defendant. And it was a strong case, so it wasn't about a whodunit. I knew immediately who did it. I could prove it. I could take it to trial that day and win it. But it wasn't about that. It was that the more I learned about the defendant and his life and the circumstances, the kinds of things that Jarrell was talking about, that one should take into account the trauma of that individual, I really felt incredibly sorry for him that he had gotten to that point in his life where he felt like there was no other choice but to commit this robbery.
And the suspect was white, or black, and the person he attacked was, I think, Indian or white.
Asian. The statement there about, the person had gotten to this point in his life, he had suffered trauma, hard scrabble upbringing, I'm sure, and so forth. So 10 years rather than the sentence appropriate for a felony murder conviction.
Because she felt bad for him.
You have to explain why people who are similarly situated to the person who committed those crimes don't commit those crimes. Before you let your sentimentalism get the better of you because somebody had a tough upbringing, explain to me how we should view all those people who had just as tough, if not tougher, upbringing and never preyed on anyone else, never felt like their only choice was to rob senior citizens. That's nonsense, what you heard from that prosecutor. And then for her to flip, and now she wants Daniel Penny to go down for the full boat when it comes to involuntary manslaughter, involuntary murder. It's astounding. And it speaks to the identity politics that is rotten in Alvin Bragg's office, as it is in any prosecutor's office that was installed by Soros and has a clear perspective on politics informing their prosecutorial decisions.
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, white guilt manifests itself in the worst way.
There's no good way. Daniel Penny, just to refresh everybody's recollection, I mean, he has been forthright from the outset about what happened. And really, I haven't heard anyone challenge his account of what happened. What the prosecutors are doing are trying to characterize the chokehold that he put Neely in as excessive, and he was a Marine, so he was trained in this, so he should have known better, and so on and so forth. So he did not bring proportional force to the threat, is essentially what they're arguing. But no one's challenging the account or his state of mind. Some are trying to suggest that it was racially motivated. It's nonsense, as Penny explained.
East Village in Manhattan, so I take the subway multiple times a day. In this instance, I was coming from school. I got out of class around 2:15, and I took I was at J Street Metro Tech, took the Uptown F train. At 2nd Avenue, a man came on, stumbled on. He appeared to be on drugs. The doors closed, and he ripped his jacket off and threw it at the people sitting down to my left. I was listening to music at the time, and he was yelling, so I took my headphones out to hear what he was yelling. And the three main threats that he repeated over and over was, "I'm going to kill you, I'm prepared to go to jail for life, and I'm willing to die." This was a scary situation, and Mr. Neely came on. He was threatening. I'm 6'2", and he was taller than me, so it was. And there's a common misconception that Marines don't get scared. We're actually taught one of our core values is courage, and courage is not the absence of fear, but how you handle fear. And I was scared for myself, but I looked around, I saw women and children. He was yelling in their faces, saying these threats. I couldn't just sit still. Some people say that I was holding on to Mr. Neely for 15 minutes. This is not true. Between stops is only a couple minutes. So the whole interaction lasted less than 5 minutes. Some people say I was trying to choke him to death, which is also not true. I was trying to restrain him. You can see in the video there's a clear rise and fall of his chest, indicating that he's breathing. I'm trying to restrain him from him being able to carry out the threats. And then some people say that this was about race, which is absolutely ridiculous. I didn't see a black man threatening passengers. I saw a man threatening passengers, a lot of whom were people of color. The man who helped restrain Mr. Neely was a person of color. And then a few days after the incident, I read in the papers that a woman of color came out and called me a hero. I don't believe that I'm a hero, but she was one of those people that I was trying to protect. We were all scared. Mr. Neely was yelling in these passengers' faces, and they looked terrified. The reason why there was no video at the start of the altercation was because people were too afraid getting away from him. And The videos didn't start until they saw that situation was under control. I knew I had to act, and I acted in a way that would protect the other passengers, protect myself, and protect Mr. Neely. I used this hole to restrain him, and I did this by leaving my hand on top of his head to control his body. You could see in the video there's a clear rise and fall of his chest, indicating that he was still breathing. And I'm calibrating my grip based on the force that he's exerting. And I was trying to keep him on the ground until the police came. I was praying that the police would come and take this situation over. I didn't want to be put in that situation, but I couldn't just sit still and let him carry out these threats.
And now, as he's awaiting the jury verdict, the stones on these people, the father of Neely has filed a civil suit against Daniel Penny.
Where has that dad been this whole time when he was suffering mental illness and going in and out of prison? He's been persona non grata.
Right. If you despise trial lawyers, you don't despise them enough.
Real quick, so when he did give that interview, if that's the interview that you grabbed from when he went into police to give him a statement, he waived his Miranda rights because he just did not think that this would lead to being charged with attempted murder. And what about those other two men that were helping him? He wasn't alone, and they've never been charged, and they were minorities. One was Hispanic, and the other guy, I don't know exactly, maybe Asian. But nothing happened to them.
Corey Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. Good morning, Amy. How many times have we been threatened on trains in Chicago in such a manner as this individual was? I mean, this is why people don't step up in our neighborhood to try to help, because situations like this go wrong. And we elect individuals to make the right calls, and they're making the wrong calls 24 hours a day. They do not put public safety first. That's why we have so many sick individuals riding the train right now. That's why so many workers are jumping in cars to come into the city, because they don't want to be interfaced with this stuff every single day. I hope New Yorkers put their head out their butt and make the right decision here.
Exactly. Thank you for the call, Corey. Right. I don't want to be put in that position. Daniel Penny didn't want to be. Nobody wants to be. But in cities that have turned themselves over to the lawless, it's going to happen. I mean, maybe your number doesn't get called, but it's going to happen. And it certainly happens with police. Just another instance of this jackpot justice that's just so sickening to me. The city of Chicago has settled with the family of Dexter Reed. And whatever this, Dexter Reed is the guy who opened fire on police and then police shot a police officer. Then police returned fire and killed him.
Oh, that's right.
Dexter Reed, this was the press conference this spring. Dexter Reed's mom doing her, Esther from Sanford and Son routine.
Oh,
they're coming to get me over her baby boy. Why did they do this to her baby boy?
Why they did that to my son, they didn't have to do him like that. I love my son. He's a good kid. He played basketball. He always had something to do every day. He wake me up in the morning, and he fixed me food. He was showing me how to cook his stuff, and he tell me, "Mama, you eat something," and stuff like that. When I didn't feel good, he say exercise. He bought a Peloton bike for me to exercise, and he was a good kid. And why they did him like that, I just don't understand. What is wrong with the police is why they doing all these kids, pulling them over with for no reason. All these kids, illegal stuff, they don't do nothing all the time. They just be outside trying to find their way. He had just bought his new car 3 days before that, and he was just riding around in his car. He said, "Mom, I'm going for a ride." And they killed him. They killed him. They killed him. They killed him.
It's James Gibson,
Yeah.
tortured by John Burge in the Midnight Club.
Hold on, Hurt. It's not over. Again, you try to give some bandwidth to grieving parents. However, family members. He opened fire on police officers.
Police officer.
He was, by the way, he's buying cars, he's buying Peloton bikes. Interesting. He was on pretrial release for a pending felony gun charge when he was pulled over and when he opened fire on police.
All right.
And now the city is going to pay
How much?
Dexter Reed's family. We don't know what it is, but it's going to city council for approval, so it has to be more than $100,000. Your family gets paid if police kill a family member after he opens fire on them and includes hitting a cop. And you want to, per Eric Adams, you want to talk about the message that sends? Just like the message that would be sent if just prosecuting Daniel Penny sends a message, don't be a good Samaritan, much less if he was convicted.
I listen to WVON sometimes, and the Saturday after that happened, I was driving to Indiana and was listening, and Dexter Reed's friend called, and he said, he had that was suicide by cops. That's what that was. That's what his friend said. Because he had a gun on him, and he knew he was going to get caught, and he didn't want to go back to jail.
Well, I have no idea. It's totally irrelevant. What's relevant is what he did and what the city is doing in response. Mike in Littleton, Colorado.
Good morning, and thank you for taking my call. This whole theater with Adams, and now I have a conscience, and the system failed us, and this and that. No, you broke the system. You and people who think like you broke the system, and now you try to turn around. But the sad thing is, these idiots will drink poison as long as they think they're getting it for free. And these people will be reelected and elected again and again. And we have California as proof positive that there's no quick turn on this. And just one more thing, if you could check it quickly, since you're talking about the legal lottery and people that don't deserve it suing the system. My understanding just yesterday is that Peter Strzok and his girlfriend won $1 million or got $1 million settlement from the federal government.
Yeah.
For their information on the phones we pay for. Unbelievable.
That's right. Thanks for the call, Mike. We talked about that in the context of the Kash Patel nomination for FBI director discussion. But just here for a second. I understand the cynicism directed towards Eric Adams, and maybe his motives aren't completely pure. Maybe they're just in the interest of political survival. I don't really care. It provides an opportunity. And as William F. Buckley used to say, you have to give people room to come over to your side, even temporarily. But if Eric Adams wants to come over to our side when it comes to illegal immigration and when it comes to lawlessness on the streets of a major city and Soros-funded prosecutors that don't prosecute, so forth, then let's have that alliance of convenience for those express purposes. Let's not waste a potential opportunity there.
And Eric Adams is meeting with Tom Holman December 12th, so next Thursday. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk latest on the Hegseth nomination for DOD at 6:06.
They'll help carry out mass deportations of illegal immigrants. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President-elect Trump's picks for his next administration.
Rodney Scott as Customs and Border Protection Commissioner. You might remember Scott served as Border Patrol Chief in Trump's first administration, and then for the first part of the Biden administration until he was pushed out, and he's been an extremely vocal critic of Biden's open border policies.
Fox's Bill Malugin near the Trump estate in West Palm Beach, Florida. The president-elect also wants Caleb Vitello to be the acting ICE director leading immigration and customs enforcement.
They've allowed 21 million people into our country coming through open borders from many, many countries. They came from jails. They came from mental institutions, insane asylums even.
That was President-elect Trump at the Fox Nation Patriot Awards last night. He was honored as Patriot of the Year. The Trump nominee for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth vows to keep going, continuing to meet with Republican senators amid allegations that he calls an attempted media takedown of sexual misconduct and alcohol abuse, financial mismanagement.
I'm a different man than I was years ago. And that's a redemption story that I think a lot of Americans appreciate. And I know from fellow vets that I've spent time with, they resonate with that as well.
It's day 3 of the manhunt for the masked gunman who killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson outside a Manhattan hotel. Police know more about him, have surveillance video showing him unmasked, and they also believe he took a bus to New York a week ago.
Police sources also revealing to Fox they have a cell phone they believed was dropped by the suspect near the scene with fingerprints, and a water bottle purchased by the suspect at a nearby Starbucks that is being used to build a DNA profile.
Fox's Chanley Painter. A political drama keeps playing out in South Korea. The leader of the governing party wants to suspend President Yoon's constitutional powers as Parliament considers impeaching him days after the president declared martial law and then hours later had to rescind it when angry lawmakers overruled him. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 17 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. A senator critical to the confirmation of Pete Hegseth as President-elect Trump's Secretary of Defense is non-committal on the nomination. Iowa Republican Joni Ernst met with Hegseth this week, but has not decided whether to support the embattled nominee.
I think for a number of our senators, they want to make sure that any allegations have been cleared, and that's why we have to have a very thorough vetting process.
Ernst sits on the important Senate Armed Services Committee. Pete Hegseth says he's not withdrawing his name.
I'm proud to be here, and as long as Donald Trump wants me in this fight, I'm going to be standing right here in this fight, fighting to bring our Pentagon back to what it needs to be.
Hegseth is an Iraq combat veteran and says that he went through things when he returned to the States, and added that Trump told him he supports him and looks forward to the confirmation hearings. A Canadian man is recovering from injuries after trying to rescue his wife from a polar bear attack. The attack happened Tuesday morning in Fort Severn, a First Nations community and the northernmost community in Ontario. The man's injuries are described to be serious but non-life-threatening. The Blackhawks are parting way with head coach Luke Richardson. Richardson was fired after posting a 57-118 and a 15 record in 3 seasons in Chicago. The Hawks are currently last in the NHL this season at 8-16-2. Rockford Ice Hogs head coach Anders Sorensen was named interim coach, making him the first Sweden-born coach in NHL history. News is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors. See Marvin products in their beautiful showroom at the corner of Lake and Gray and Roselle, or visit woodlandwindows.com for a free in-home expert consultation. A check of the roadways coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago on December 23rd on their Lost Christmas Tour 2024. AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the All-State Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor, or just click on the Give Life banner.
I know it's hard to believe, but Christmas is right around the corner, and if you're thinking about what gift to get the firearms enthusiast that may be on your list this year, I highly recommend. I love this company. The rifles, the shotguns, the revolvers, made right here in America by our friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Now, they've got 200 models to choose from, a wide variety of calibers and styles and prices, and you cannot go wrong with any of them. The great company. The easiest way to check out Henry's Firearms is to get a copy of their free holiday gift guide. Just go to their website. It's henryusa.com. Click on the catalog button in the top right-hand corner. They will mail the gift guide and a few decals, and it won't cost you a penny. So if you want to put something made in America under your Christmas tree, make sure you order the free gift guide and get free decals from Henry USA today. That's henryusa.com for a free gift guide and decals. henryusa.com. You're going to love this company. I love this company.
Wow. Are you buying or are you selling? As this is being written, silver is up more than 50% in just the past 8 months. And gold is the highest it's ever been. Whether you are just getting into the metals, want to roll your IRA into silver or gold, or want to take some profits off the table, Fox Valley Coins is ready, willing, and able to help. Even though Fox Valley Coins is a national dealer, they're family-owned and in your own backyard. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville almost always has the product you want in stock and pretty much always has the best pricing when you buy or sell. Buying or selling is easy. Bring your items in. We'll establish the price and pay you cash or check on the spot. Don't wait until the end of the year to move your assets around. Did you know that Fox Valley Coins has sold over 3,000 1-ounce silver Donald Trump coins? We have several designs, but they're going fast. Fox Valley Coins on Route 59 in Naperville. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Get over to the right, adding 25 minutes to your ride. A crash on the Bishop Ford northbound west I-94. This is inbound right before Dalton. You got about a 3-mile backup. Behind it, traffic is a service of turnkey.pro. Now inbound on the Edens, Lake Cook to Montrose, less than 25 minutes. Same on the outbound. Kennedy inbound, O'Hare to the Byrne interchange, 20 minutes. Kennedy outbound, Byrne interchange to O'Hare, the same. Eisenhower in and outbound between Wolf and the old post office. You have a 15-minute ride. Dan Ryan inbound, and this is from 95th to the Byrne interchange. You are seeing the morning drive add some time to your ride. Now, for less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk, and real-time hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro today. From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm KT.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Sunshine, a few clouds. It'll be brisk and cold today. The high 31. Partly cloudy tonight, low 27. Sunny clouds and breezy tomorrow, not as cold, high 43. Periods of clouds and sun on Sunday, the high at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The latest on the drama surrounding the nomination of Pete Hegseth to be President Trump's Secretary of Defense. You have more senators weighing in as he is making the rounds. Some very clearly in support of Hegseth after conversation with him. Rick Scott, for example. Both Rick Scott and from Florida, that is, and Eric Schmidt from Missouri went on with Jake Tapper. I'm not really sure why. But anyway, they did so to express their support.
When you're 1% of the population or less, very hard to see how the democratic process.
Okay, here, let's try that again.
When you're 1% of the population or less, very hard to see.
Okay, can you play Rick Scott?
I'll try. Hold on, let's see if this works.
You were among a group of Republican senators who met with Hegseth on Monday. This morning you posted on Twitter or X, quote, "I support President Trump's pick, and I look forward to his swift confirmation." So you don't even want to wait for that FBI background check? You don't want to hear from members of the veterans group alleging alcohol abuse, sexual misconduct? I mean, I know Hegseth denies any wrongdoing, but don't you want to get some more vetting done?
Well, first off, number one, Donald Trump won the election. Number two, this is his nominee. All right, we know we have to make changes. Number three, Pete is a great candidate. Here's something. I respect people that put on the uniform and led troops at war. He went to Iraq. He went to Afghanistan. He knows people that died. He knows people that were injured. He got out. He's fought for veterans since he got out. These are anonymous accusations. If these people are credible, Jake, ask him to come on your show. Ask him to come on and explain these things. Pete did an op-ed. He's explained this. I've talked to him about it. I've met with him. I've known him. It's disgusting to me exactly what's going on. These people are trying to disparage somebody that has. Did they go serve? No. Did they put their life on the line? No. This is ridiculous what these people are doing.
Eric Schmidt.
Met with Pete Hegseth yesterday. You said it was great to sit down with him. You said you look forward to working with him. Did you ask him about any of these allegations?
I did. We had a wide-ranging conversation. I asked him directly about it. Of course, he denied wrongdoing, as he has before. And I think it's important to note that no charges were ever filed. And a lot of the leaks that are happening, which are very popular in Washington, are anonymous. And so you've had a lot of people come out publicly supporting them, Pete Hegseth. And I will tell you, most of the conversation that I had is what you should have with a nominee, which is what is the direction you want to see the Department of Defense go in. We got a DEI problem. He's vowed to eliminate that. I support that. We need to focus on China. And we have a procurement problem. We're falling behind as it relates to innovation at the Pentagon. So that was a majority of our conversation. But I did ask him directly. And every senator is going to have their own criteria and their own questions that they ask. And that's what this confirmation process is all about.
But that's not to say he doesn't still have problems. And it seems like his lead problem is Iowa Senator Joni Ernst. She is decidedly in the crucible right now.
Well, isn't that because she's considered a backup candidate in case his nomination doesn't go through?
Considered by who? Joni Ernst?
No, by Trump. I mean, that's what CNN was reporting it, that it was either going to be DeSantis, possibly Joni Ernst. Yes.
Yeah. So Joni Ernst considers herself maybe a backup candidate for Pete Hegseth. Do you think her performance in this moment lends her to be a credible alternative to Pete Hegseth? Do you think Trump world is watching Joni Ernst and saying, well, if it doesn't work out with Pete, then we're going to go to Joni Ernst? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Joni Ernst not prepared to offer support for Hegseth at this moment.
Okay, it doesn't sound on your answer that you've gotten to a yes. If I'm wrong about that, correct me. And if that is the case, it sounds to me as if the hearing will be critical for his nomination. Am I right about that?
I think you are right. I think for a number of our senators, they want to make sure that any allegations have been cleared, and that's why we have to have a very thorough vetting process. And that's why I was happy to sit down with Pete and have that conversation with him yesterday. So again, all I will say at this time is that we did have a very thorough discussion over a number of those issues, and the vetting will continue, I am certain, through the next month or so until we approach that hearing date.
And he has some.
As I've previously said about Republican women in the Senate, we need more Republican women in the Senate like Marsha Blackburn and fewer Republican women in the Senate like Lindsey Graham.
Ayo.
Thank you very much. And unfortunately, Joni Ernst is in the Lindsey Graham camp. This is all coming out now. Now that Joni Ernst wants to make a spectacle of herself. Joni Ernst is equivocations about trans in the military. Joni Ernst's absurd, pathetic, fall-in-line statement on George Floyd during the BLM riots in the summer of 2020. Joni Ernst is not somebody who generally inspires confidence. She normally votes the right way. And this is what Mike Davis, our friend of the show from the Article 3 Project, Joni Ernst is my home state senator. She will do her job and fully vet all nominees. I predict she will vote to confirm Pete Hegseth like she did with Justice Kavanaugh. Maybe, but...
she voted to confirm Lloyd Austin for Secretary of Defense.
Well, yeah, she voted to confirm all of Biden's nominees, as far as I can recall, and the Supreme Court justices, too. But Ernst is she is not willing to push back on sort of establishment thinking, on the sentimental, barbaristic philosophies of the left, like you would expect a senator from Iowa a plus 13 state for Trump would want to do or would be capable of doing.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And I'm bringing this up because she had an affair with her a serviceman while deployed. I mean, if you're going to bring up your men's affairs, alleged affairs, why not bring that? But that was in her divorce papers. So, all affairs, love and war.
Oh, alleged in the divorce papers, in the divorce filings. Yeah. I mean, as I said, she doesn't strike me as a particularly important person from a political or intellectual leadership perspective. She has never, and she doesn't currently either. Jerry and Gurnee, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy. Thank you for taking my call. I had called you guys earlier, and I made the comment that the Republicans don't know how to be in charge when they have the majority. Now, these 4 balloon heads, okay, are they up for re-election come the midterm? Because if they don't get in line and vote for Trump's nominees, the Republicans should primary every one of those people and get them out of here, because they are going to blow this majority. They're going to stick it to Trump somehow. The establishment is not going to let Trump get away with what he wants to do.
Thanks for the call, Jerry. Tony Roselle.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. You were talking about the anonymous accusations, Eggsworth, earlier, and that seems to be the thing with these people. The death by 1,000 cuts. I remember when Kavanaugh was in his hearings that some of the accusers actually were found out that they have fabricated their stories. So that's what they do. They derail these people they besmirch them with lies and innuendo anonymously. And it's just more evidence of like a deep state.
Thanks for the call, Tony. Maybe Squee can be requisitioned to provide character testimony for Hegseth.
And maybe her stance with George Floyd, too, is a reason why there is a 3-story mural of George Floyd in Iowa City, Iowa.
Well, that probably has something to do with the quality of the intellectual leadership on campus, too, maybe. I don't know. But Rick Scott's point about anonymous accusers, we're supposed to take this seriously. Well, then people have to present themselves, Blasé Ford style. You want to derail the nomination of someone to the Supreme Court or to Secretary of Defense? Well, then you need to stand and deliver. If you can't cross, if essentially Hegseth and representatives, senators cannot cross-examine accusers, then how much credibility should be given to their testimony in the context in which it was previously offered? A sexual harassment suit that, the facts of which are very murky, that suit he settled in 2017 in terms of, who was the aggressor there and were there recriminations and all sorts of legitimate questions that call into question the idea it was a sexual harassment rather than a mutually agreed to rendezvous. And the other matters too. It's very much what Hegseth said on Megyn Kelly's show the other day that we were discussing yesterday, which is, it's very interesting. They're happy to talk or platform the accusations of anonymous sources at Concerned Veterans for America or at Fox News, but there's no interest in talking to all my colleagues that I work with on a daily basis, like for the last 10 years at Fox News, that are now coming out and speaking on behalf of Pete Hegseth, like Lawrence Jones and Brian Kilmeade. There's no interest in talking about people who I could direct you to at the organizations with which I've been affiliated that would also probably present a very different picture than the one that's being presented by the D.C. Press Corps, and they're willing to put their names on it. So I think that should be dispositive of the issue at present. And Joni Ernst can go through the process. You do all this, there's a process, and I take my responsibilities to vet, to take my advice and consent responsibilities very seriously. Fine. Give me all the pro forma political bull jive. Fine. But also give us a real world assessment of the strength of the competing arguments right now. And that's what Joni Ernst and Lindsey Graham and some of these other squeamish, squirmy Republican senators are not doing. And it's unacceptable. And people should call them out on it, like some of their colleagues. You characterize what we know to be true at this moment, and in terms of the basis to raise questions and, frankly, provide default support, as you heard from Schmidt and Scott. The opposite of what you're hearing from Ernst. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You've probably heard about the efforts by automakers to take AM radio out of new vehicles. This initiative has gained momentum during the Biden administration with the push for EVs. So as we enter a new political era in 2025, it's crucial that voices like ours and the content you hear on this radio station remain accessible in every vehicle. You can help to secure the future of AM radio by texting AM to 52886 and urge your member of Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act that would keep AM radio in cars. Just text AM to 52886.
All right, 'tis the season for giving, and we have a great way how you can help those less fortunate this holiday season. As usual, we have paired up with Food for the Poor campaign, and we want to provide life-saving food to children in Latin America and the Caribbean. During the season of economic decline, unemployment, rising food costs, you know what I'm talking about, there are millions of children and their families that are suffering, and they simply do not know where their next meal will come from. And this can lead to sickness, disease, and ultimately starvation. That's why we're partnering with Food for the Poor, a faith-based nonprofit relief organization that works directly with their partners on the ground to operate those feeding centers. I've seen them live and in person. I've even fed kids and families and parents and grandparents. They bring these buckets of food, and there is a trough of beans and rice. And sometimes if they're lucky, we might have some pork, and we fill up those buckets, and they are so pleased. And just to see the smiles on their face, really, if you can, we're asking for a one-time donation of $50. That will feed a child for an entire year and provide access to clean water for their entire community. For a gift of $200, you could feed 4 children. Any amount would be much appreciated. To make a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. Again, that's 844-862-4673. 4673 or visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor.
And to make our mark here this holiday season, we're certainly relying on the donor leadership of business owners. Business owners. So we're doing our business benefactor program again. How that works, you make a tax-deductible gift of $2,500 to Food for the Poor, and we at AM 560 will provide 41-minute commercials to air on our station on behalf of your business. Prime broadcast hours, those commercials will run Monday to Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. So it's a great deal on the marketing side, cost per unit there for the advertising. It's just a great cost-effective marketing deal. And at the same time, you'd be providing life-saving food for more than 50 children in Latin America with that $2,500 tax-deductible donation. To participate in the Business Benefactor Program, you just call our sales manager, Ann Jeanette, at 847-472-8951. Again, the Business Benefactor Program, to enroll, call Ann Jeanette at 847-472-8951.
And Dan, before we go, we just want to thank some people who have signed up to be business benefactors. Rhoda Incorporated, Signs and Print, Gatto Industrial Platters, MS Consulting Services, Aries Incorporated, Craig Tischler, K&S Metals. The list goes on and on, but this will sell out. So please, it's Friday. It's a good day to get this done, get it off your to-do list. Again, call Ann Jeanette, 847-472-8951.
My name is Dr. Joe Mealy. I've been a dentist for 56 years, and I'm a certified nutritional consultant. I started taking Balance of Nature 15 years ago. I think most people think when they eat fruits and vegetables, this is their idea of fruits and vegetables. I had an apple today. I had a pear today. I had a banana. That's their fruits and vegetables. They don't understand that each one of those fruits and vegetables has different nutrients than the others. Balance of Nature has made a significant difference in my life, in my wife's life. I feel we're on this earth to help each other, and if other people can benefit from my experience, I think that would be one of the best ways I could justify still being here at 81.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
It's that holiday time of year. Give the gift of hearing to you or a loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today. Audien Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audienhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com. Hurry, don't miss Audien Hearing's Christmas sale live, now through December 15th.
It's Uncle Sam, and he wants some of your retirement money. Like it or not, you're going to owe taxes on your 401k. The good news is you may be able to reduce your tax bill with some strategic planning. Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions are here to help. You'll work together to craft a plan that's designed to help make sure you don't pay a penny more than you should. Taxes are historically low right now, and we all know they probably won't remain this low forever, so call Scott Tucker and the Scott Tucker Solutions team before this tax-saving opportunity is gone. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. It's time to preserve the retirement you deserve without giving more than necessary to your favorite uncle. Call Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions now to schedule your 401k tax review. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm does not give tax advice.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so Victor Willis and the Village People may perform at Trump's inauguration.
Uh-huh.
Victor Willis, who's the cop in the Village People, if you're scoring at home.
And he's still wearing the outfit, by the way, Dan.
Had
like
this, it's timeless, had this to say, Victor Willis did, about Trump's use of the YMCA.
I decided to allow the president-elect's continued use of YMCA because he seems to genuinely like the song. And, so many other artists were stopping him from using their music. So I decided to contact BMI and told them not to terminate his political use license because he seemed to be bringing so much joy to the American people with his use of YMCA.
Victor, it's not just the president. Every American, dare I say, everybody in the world loves your song YMCA. When you wrote it, did you envision it would have such staying power from sporting events to bar mitzvahs to weddings to dances, basically everywhere?
One never knows, Time is the only thing that lets you know. So I never had any idea.
The question on everyone's mind now, will you play at the inauguration, Victor?
Well, if you were to ask me today if Village People would perform at the inauguration, I would probably say not because we'd be concerned about endorsement. But however, if the president-elect, because the president-elect has done so much for YMCA and brought so much joy to so many people, the song has actually gone back to #1 and it's still #1 today. So if he were to ask Village People to perform the song live for him, we'd have to seriously consider it.
Well, we know he watches, so Mr. President-elect, the ball's in your court. Finally, before we let you go, you're in entertainment. You've been dancing for decades. What do you make of the dance?
Well, that's the Trump thing, When we do the show, we spell out the letters, but when he does it, he just does his little move, and that's his groove. And it works for him, and that's what's important.
Victor Willis on Fox and Friends. He also said something else. He's been talking to the media. He's thinking about suing outlets that call the song a gay anthem.
Right.
He said when President-elect started using the song, people attempted to brand the song as a gay anthem reached a fever pitch, as many used it to say, oh, Trump doesn't know the song is a gay anthem. This was done in a manner to attempt to shame the president-elect's use of the song. As I've stated on numerous occasions, I knew nothing about the Y being a hangout for gays when I wrote the lyrics to YMCA, and Jacques Morali, who was gay, never once stated such to me. In fact, Jacques never once told me how to write my lyrics. Otherwise, I would have said to him, you don't need me. Why don't you simply write the lyrics? I therefore wrote YMCA about things I knew about the Y in the urban areas of San Francisco, such as swimming, basketball, track, cheap food, cheap rooms. And when I say hang out with all the boys, that is simply 1970s black slang for black guys hanging out together for sports, gambling, or whatever. There's nothing gay about that.
How old do you think these guys are?
I love it. I mean, I never.
I want them to get back together.
I went to the Y in Glen Ellen. I never knew anything about this. Oh, this is a gay hangout. This is a gay anthem. YMCA is affiliated with the gay rights movement or something like that. So I'm so glad that Victor Willis set the record straight.
Good.
Pun intended.
Yes. And hopefully they'll perform at the inauguration. That would be awesome. They might need some walkers to get out on stage, but heck, why not? All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we'll talk to our friend Bob Woodson Center, about the counter-revolution. Conservatives have all the tools that they need, so says Woodson, 6:36.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Nikki Whaley in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. It's 17 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President-elect Trump is making multiple nominations for various positions. On Thursday, Trump picked Anthony Salisbury, a special agent in charge of Homeland Security investigations in Miami, to be the Deputy Homeland Security Advisor on the White House Homeland Security Council. He also named Caleb Vitello as Acting Director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement and nominated former Border Chief Rodney Scott as Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Trump also went on to make former Georgia Senator David Perdue his choice as the ambassador to China. Barack Obama is taking part in the third annual Obama Foundation Democracy Forum in Chicago. The former president spoke last night about the forum's theme of pluralism. Obama also discussed ways in which diverse communities can strive to work together in society. His speech follows last month's presidential election, which caused sharp divisions in this country. News is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com. Lower.com equal housing lender NMLS 1124061.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2025? That sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560 The Answer wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest presented by Team Hochberg. Enter once per day, every day, between now and December 20th, and you could have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
This is about 97. I'm 86. I'm 70 years old.
I've been a very happy customer.
That's some good stuff, I'll tell you.
I think it's wonderful stuff.
I like the product, and I'm telling a lot of people about it.
It's the best stuff in the world, Jim. It's good stuff.
I'm 81 years old. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I walk every morning and every evening with my dog. Since I have been taking this balance of nature, I just can't say enough about it.
Merry Christmas. This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, MediShare members like it. a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And Medishare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before December 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee. So you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is December 15th. So call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number. 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
Steel holiday savings are here. Find the perfect gift at your local Steel dealer or shop the Steel Holiday Gift Guide at steelusa.com.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Morning drive picking up, though crash-free, and traffic is a service of Lowe's. Inbound on the Edens, Lake Cook to Montrose, less than a 20-minute ride. Same for the outbound. Kennedy, in and outbound between O'Hara and Byrne Interchange, just under 30. Morning drive is a heavy outbound Byrne Interchange to Washington Boulevard. Eisenhower, inbound 390 to the Old Post Office, just under a 30-minute ride. Inbound on the Stevenson 355 to Lake Shore, 25 minutes. Heavier, Pulaski to Kedzie, and again, Ashland to the Dan Ryan. Dan Ryan, inbound heavy express lanes from 31st to the Stevenson. Save more this holiday season by becoming a My Lowe's Rewards member. Don't miss new member deals dropping every week, like $15 off purchase or $50 or more on select Bounty, Charmin, or Puffs paper products. Join for free today, subject and terms, conditions apply. Visit Lowe's.com/term for details. Subject to change. And from the Hotchburg Traffic Center, I'm KT.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Brisk and cold, sunshine, a few clouds around today. High 31, partly cloudy tonight, low 27. Sunny clouds and breezy, not as cold tomorrow, the high 43. Partly sunny and breezy day on Sunday, the high Sunday at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, Sundays, noon to 1. Learn more online at mwmfinancial.tax.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We talked about it at the outset of the show, but I want to revisit it briefly with our next guest. BLM Brandon Johnson, he's the mayor of Chicago, don't you know? Big announcement yesterday. He introduced his new director of reentry, the city's director of reentry, the man who is going to be charged with facilitating ex-cons back into civil society. His name is Joseph Mapp. He is someone who served 26 years in prison for armed robbery and a killing that occurred alongside that armed robbery. His participation in that 26 years in prison. For the last 3 years, he's been at a church in Chicago serving as their director of reentry. I'd like a little bit more detail on him, but here's BLM Brandon.
While Joseph will serve as the director of reentry, he will also be a part of a bigger picture to build a better, stronger, safer, more inclusive society here in our wonderful city. His work will directly align with our people's plan for community safety. Again, access to mental health services, affordable housing, vital support that's critical for the transformation of these women and men who deserve every bit of our love and in our investments. I have full confidence in him. I really do, and he's the right person for this job.
Deserve is a strong word, but it's a sensible public policy if you have the personnel and the programs that can reduce recidivism. I agree with that, and we've mentioned many times before, because I don't know of a more successful program in the country than John Ponder's Hope for Prisoners in Clark County, Nevada. I've got a job for our next guest, or a idea for a job for our next guest in the Trump administration. I don't know if the Trump administration has the same idea or he'd be willing to take it, but it seems like he's ideally suited. And I don't like czar, but I'm going to use it just because that's the handle. The social services czar. Bob Woodson would be perfect to be our social services czar. And the
What do you
reason,
think?
Bob, I say that is not because I want you to become a federal bureaucrat, but because I think you would be like what Tom Homan is to immigration on social services. You can do the vetting on who's real and who isn't at the community level around the country, particularly in big cities, but not limited to big cities, in a way that I don't think anybody else can.
Well, I really appreciate the vote of confidence in that. That does concern me, though, that when it's fine to identify a certain principles, and I agree with what the mayor is saying in terms of the qualification and potential of such a person, but I'm not sure I trust him to make that judgment, given
Exactly.
the other things that he's done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, this is why, it's fun to have the press conference, and so we're going to do these wonderful things on the front end, but then you need to find somebody that also pays attention to what happens in terms of the outputs, the consequences, the work product, and this is where we seem to fall down all over the place, all over the country.
Yeah, because everything he has done up to this point has been hostile to the very principles he said he's standing for. He isn't listening to ordinary Americans. That's why they're calling him the worst mayor they've ever seen. It's because every policy that he has put in place has been hostile to the interests of poor blacks, particularly in the issues of immigration, illegal immigrants. And so he has a credibility problem when it comes to making judgments about which strategies should work and which don't. I'm not so sure I trust him.
Yeah, but why would he want to hurt his own people? That's what I keep wrestling with.
Because it's not a matter of, I think it was Dietrich Bonhoeffer, he said one of the worst human phenomena to confront isn't malice, because you can confront malice with violence. It is folly. It is when people believe that what they're doing is helpful to the people that they are serving, when in fact it's injuring them with the helping hand. Foolishness is much more difficult. That's why, and so that's the problem.
Right, and it's layered into a particular ideology too, and these are ideologues that we're dealing with. You talk about solutionists that exist in Bob Woodson's universe, and politicians like Brandon Johnson are the opposite. These are rigid ideologues, and so they are just lashed to the mass of their ideology, regardless of consequence.
You got to understand that race is deeply emotional in the black community, the way the state of Israel is to Jews or abortion is to the religious right. It's deeply emotional. It's very difficult to appear to be in opposition to these and then make your case. And so the Democrats have understood that for decades, and that's why they have exploited that passion, and they also generated a major contradiction that somehow voting for Democrats decade after decade will produce better outcomes for the least of these. And it has proved just the opposite. And the vote that you saw, that where 25% of black men, or 20% of black men voted for Trump, and 30% of black independents, is an acknowledgement that what is being promised has not been delivered on, and in fact is that race prevents us from making progress. And but then the Achilles heel of conservatives is race and poverty. They have not spoken to that issue in an effective way, but with a few exceptions around it. But they have an opportunity now to do so, because the black community has made it clear that it is more concerned about policies and practices that injure them than they are the ideology. And so they are open now, but conservatives have got to respond, and you can't respond with just policies. Conservatives look at policy as being upstream and mediating structures as downstream. That's got to change. They've got to put at forefront what objective circumstances are improving the lives of the least of these, and then organize policies around those practices.
Yeah, I read your piece in the Hill about this. I think it's, and I want you to develop it a little bit more here. Because I get the sense, I agree with you. I get the sense that there's a lot of celebration about the progress that was made by Trump and Republicans to a general extent with black voters, minority voters, people in the lower rungs of the socioeconomic ladder. But then you worry we're resting. Then they're going to rest on their laurels, and we're not going to consummate the opportunity that's been presented. And so those mediating structures you talk about, this goes back to what I was saying at the outset. How do we zero in on those players and those organizations in communities around America that have a track record of turning people's lives around, of helping people lift themselves out of poverty and addiction and other societal afflictions?
I would like to see Elon Musk and them turn and maybe reach out to us. We can bring 30 such grassroots leaders from Indian reservations, from the barrios, from low-income white communities to black communities. Corey Brooks would be among a prominent example.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last 43 years, the Woodson Center has worked with 3,000 grassroots leaders in 39 states of all racial and ethnic groups. And these are some of the most toxic, violent communities in the country, and yet these healing agents have been able to reduce violence. In Racine, Wisconsin, this past year, our Voices of Black Mothers United, working with the police, created a peace where there were no homicides for over 6 months. And so there are other examples of where islands of excellence have been created. But what this administration needs to do is reach out to this network of grassroots healing agents and let them advise them as to how to best meet the needs of these groups. They're not asking for any government programs. But if you're for a limited government, and I am, you've got to be for strong mediating institutions. You can't just define yourself by what you're against. You got to talk about what you're for.
100%. And, it'd be interesting. It could be a moment, too, where you bring, there's something that the Trump or the Trump administration can lead. Bring all these people that you've profiled and highlighted, that you've worked with, that you talk about, that you highlight more in your piece in the Hill. Reverend Charlene Turner Johnson out of Highland Park, Michigan. Candace Freeman, founder of Way to Live. She didn't tell me where, you didn't write in terms of where her location is, but just so many people like that. Bringing them together from around the country, and you can be the conduit to that, with the philanthropic donor class that is conservative leaning, and making the introductions. Having everybody in a room, everybody getting 5 or 10 minutes at the lectern to present what they're doing and where they're doing it, and just do a couple of days. I mean, there's all these conservative summits all over the place, and a lot of them are just rah-rah rallies and the same old speakers, and they're not particularly interesting. This would maybe be something that could really be interesting and productive.
It really did. We talk about that. We've done this in some cities. In San Antonio many years ago, I brought together 7 funders and 13 grassroots leaders. And as a consequence, one of those donors stepped up and donated $1 million toward the construction of Outcry Nevadio's residential facility. And 2 local Christian donors helped put up $2.3 million. They built a brand new facility, residential facility, in the middle of a low-income Hispanic neighborhood. And there's an example of what I call the Pharaoh-Joseph partnerships. And that's the foundation upon which the center operates. We look at the biblical Joseph and Pharaoh. Pharaoh reached across racial and ethnic lines to empower a 31-year-old uneducated Hebrew shepherd. And together they helped Egypt, fed the world. And I still think that same coalition, partnership, that's what the center is promoting around the country now, that we need to have a Joseph Pharaoh partnership evolve that will define civic restoration in America. Because all of my grassroots groups around the country are operating on the founding principles of America, of self-determination, love of God, love of country, love of neighbor. That's the foundation upon which they've been able to redeem individuals and restore communities. And they're just waiting there, as you say. If the Democrats spent $1 billion in 3 months, there's enough private sector dollars. If we take a fraction of that, as you say, and bring them together and invest them in these grassroots leaders, America could be a social revolution the way I identify in Eastern Europe. That's how communism fell. Chapter 77 in Czechoslovakia, solidarity in Poland, and because these grassroots groups delivered services to people more effectively than the government did, and as a consequence, they won their loyalty, and these loyalties translated into votes. If the conservative movement was serious, that they would then not just win elections based upon conservative principles, but they need to develop a governing platform on these values. And that's what they haven't done.
And it's because it's a lot easier to point at particularly a government as big as ours and talk about what we shouldn't be funding. And that's a worthy conversation, but we don't spend very much time talking about what we should be funding.
Exactly. And with partnerships. Grassroots people are radical pragmatists. That's their operating philosophy. They're cardiac Christians, as I am, and their political philosophy is radical pragmatism. If you're really serious about recruiting them, then demonstrate to them that you're willing to take steps to improve the quality of their life, and then they will reach and vote. Right now, the black community, these black men voted on a promise. The question is whether this administration will deliver on that promise, because right now it's just a promise. They didn't vote to be Republicans. They voted against the policies of the previous administration. I think it's important for Republicans not to forget that. They did not vote to be Republicans. They voted against Biden. And now the question is whether Republicans have the good sense to reach out now and build on this opportunity. I am very hopeful that Elon Musk and Thomas Swami have got the right foundation to do just that. And we stand ready to cooperate them in any way we can.
And President Trump, I mean, when he takes off, he has got to shut down the border. He's got to. And then he also has to, he campaigned on no taxes on tips and overtime, too. And I think that's important for a lot of hardworking Americans.
Exactly. These young people are more objective in their voting. And they know they've been scammed, as Malcolm X said. They've been scammed, hoodwinked, and bamboozled by the left. They know that the worst economic and social conditions have devolved in the past 50 years in cities run by liberal Democrats. If voting Democratic by blacks were the answer to their problems, then why haven't conditions improved? It could improve for the politicians. They leave. Maxine Waters lives in a $3 million mansion. The question is, how do you do that working as a congressman's salary? And Al Sharpton has $1,000 suit to his organization, spent $1 million on private jet jets flying all over the country to protest against capitalism.
At least it wasn't climate change yet.
Yeah.
That'll be next.
That's right. Maybe the jet has special filters on it.
I'm sure.
Ethanol based.
That's what they're going to say.
Bob Woodson, the Sultan of self-sufficiency. How do you like that? The Sultan of self-sufficiency.
I like that.
All right.
Sultan of self-sufficiency. I got to keep that.
We're working. Continuing to work on this. Bob Woodson, founder and president of the Woodson Center, author of A Pathway to American Renewal, Red, White, and Black, Volume 2. Pick it up. Bob, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
All right, my friends. Thank you.
Yes, have a wonderful Christmas, and thank you so much for joining us. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They are a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I heard about it for 3 months, and I kept wanting to do it, and I just didn't. And I finally said, I'm going to do it. I just feel overall better, but I've continued to take it.
Oh, I really like them. I feel good while I'm on them, and they're easy to take, and they seem to be working well.
I love it. I love the product. And not only the product, the people that work for them, too, are really nice. That's another plus. It's the best product on the market.
I think it's a good product, so that's the reason I'll continue to take it.
It's a wonderful product. I'm trying to get as many people as I can to take it.
Merry Christmas. This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. 630-674-1551. 1551.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, Representative Jim Clyburn has a pardon deal for the Trump world and the Biden world. We'll offer it up and see if you'd be willing to make that deal. 7:07.
It is now time to head into the newsroom and check news from around the world. It is 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It's day 3 of the manhunt in Manhattan. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, searching for the masked gunman who murdered the CEO of United Healthcare.
Police appear to be closing in on the identity of the man suspected of gunning down 50-year-old Brian Thompson Wednesday morning outside a New York City hotel.
That's Fox's Chanley Painter. She says they've unmasked him in surveillance videos. And
police sources revealing to Fox they have a cell phone they believe was dropped by the suspect near the scene with fingerprints. And we are also learning the suspect arrived in the city more than a week ago on a Greyhound bus arrest before checking into a hostel in the Upper West Side using a fake ID and paying in cash.
We have a motive in Wednesday's shooting at a California private religious school that wounded 2 boys, aged 5 and 6. The gunman who killed himself left writings behind saying he took action because of what he calls Israel's genocide in Gaza. Butte County Sheriff Corey Honey says the kids remain in critical condition.
They have a very long road ahead of them in terms of recovery. It's very likely that they are going to have a number of surgeries.
President-elect Trump has a new nominee to help carry out his planned mass deportation of illegal immigrants. He's nominated Rodney Scott as Customs and Border Protection Commissioner. He also wants Caleb Vitello to be acting ICE director, heading up Customs and Immigration Enforcement.
Immigration and the border and stopping our country from being invaded, because this was a massive invasion of our country.
President-elect Trump at last night's Fox Nation Patriot Awards. He was honored as Patriot of the Year. Trump Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth vows not to back down amid sexual misconduct and other allegations, telling reporters he's a changed man.
This will not be a process tried in the media. I don't answer to anyone in this group. None of you, not to that camera at all.
Syrian rebels keep taking over more towns in a resurgency during Syria's civil war. They're moving closer to Homs, the third largest city in Syria, after already taking much of Aleppo and Hama. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 17 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is backing off its decision not to cover anesthesia under certain conditions. The insurance company originally announced they wouldn't reimburse anesthesia costs if surgery went over what the insurer deemed too long. The news drew outrage across the country, as well as from doctors and the American Society of Anesthesiologists. The announcement of the controversial policy was halted a day after the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. A woman accused of stowing away on a Delta Airlines flight from New York to Paris is being charged in a Brooklyn federal court. Svetlana Dali could spend 5 years behind bars if convicted. She did not enter a plea yesterday as her legal aid lawyer looks to work out a bail deal. 2 teens are wounded following a shooting in the South Shore neighborhood. Police say an 18-year-old man and a 15-year-old girl were walking yesterday in the 7400 block of South Yates Boulevard when someone in a gray vehicle opened fire. Both teens suffered gunshot wounds and were taken to the hospital. So far, no arrests have been made. Chicago police are searching for a missing 10-year-old boy. Trenton Payne was last seen yesterday in the area of West Quincy Street and South Laramie Avenue. He's 4'9", weighs about 100 pounds. Anyone with any information, please contact police. News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2025? That sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560 The Answer wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest presented by Team Hochberg. Enter once per day, every day between now and December 20th, and you could have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Jason Zenger, owner of Zenger's Industrial Supply and host of the Making Shifts podcast, and a proud customer of Signature Bank. Through rapid growth, acquisitions of competitors, and taking over from the previous generation, Signature Bank was there with us every step of the way. Recently, the team introduced us to FinRails AP, their proprietary system for accounts payable automation. Not only did FinRails AP help us to reduce costs and create efficiencies, but it also helped minimize fraud risk. Now, our company can invest time into what we do best, supplying industrial products, metalworking tooling, contractor tools, and safety supplies to those who make, build, and create great things for our country.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I know it's hard to believe, but Christmas is right around the corner. And if you're thinking about what gift to get the firearms enthusiast that may be on your list this year, I highly recommend. I love this company. The rifles, the shotguns, the revolvers, made right here in America by our friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Now, they've got 200 models to choose from, a wide variety of calibers and styles and prices, and you cannot go wrong with any of them. They're a great company. The easiest way to check out Henry's Firearms is to get a copy of their free holiday gift guide. Just go to their website. It's henryusa.com. Click on the catalog button in the top right-hand corner. They will mail the gift guide and a few decals, and it won't cost you a penny. So if you want to put something made in America under your Christmas tree, make sure you order the free gift guide and get free decals from Henry USA today. That's henryusa.com. For a free gift guide and decals, henryusa.com. You're going to love this company. I love this company.
I love giving jewelry as a gift. Roland's Jewelers is the perfect place for that magical holiday gift. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Roland's Jewelers is the absolute perfect place for the magical holiday gift for someone you love. Buying jewelry is about trust. Roland's is the jeweler I trust. I'm a customer, and I'm always amazed by their 5-star Google reviews, so many of them. But why not? They're the best. They're family-owned. Hey, getting engaged? Roland's has a large selection of mined and lab-grown diamonds at great prices. Choose from beautifully crafted engagement rings from designer Simon G. or Italian designer Roberto Coin, offering stunning diamond pendants and earrings. How about a Tag Heuer watch with cutting-edge technology? I love mine from Roland's. I continue to be impressed at how expertly trained their staff is. Visit Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville or RolandsJewelers.com. That's Roland's, ROLLANDS, Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust, just like I do.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Crash free, though the heaviest on the Kennedy in traffic is a service of turnkey.pro. Eden's in and out between Lake Cook and Montrose, less than 20 minutes. Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange, 40 minutes. And then Kennedy outbound Byrne Interchange to Montrose. You're looking at a 15-minute ride. To O'Hare, 30 minutes. Eisenhower in and out between 390 and the Old Post Office, 35 minutes. That's either way. Inbound on the Stevenson, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 25 minutes. You're heavier. Pulaski to Kedzie, and again, Ashland to Dan Ryan. Dan Ryan inbound, you're slow, 83rd to I-90, and a 57 inbound, you're slow, a 111th to 103rd for less than a price of a monthly car payment. Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro, and from the Team Hotsburg Traffic Center, I'm KT.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Brisk and cold, sunshine, a few clouds around today. High 31, partly cloudy tonight, low 27. Sunny clouds and breezy, not as cold tomorrow, the high 43. Partly sunny, a breezy day on Sunday, the high Sunday at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Democrats wanted to put Trump in jail. Now they want to cut a deal with him to keep their friends out of jail. Should Trump make the deal? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer and text line.
I mean, they tried everything. They tried to take him off the ballot, remember, in Colorado, and was it Vermont or Maine, remember? They've tried so much. They've tried everything.
Joe Manchin telegraphed this interest in putting the ugliness behind us right after Joe announced the pardon of Hunter. Manchin said this.
As a father, I don't know of a father that wouldn't have done the same thing. What I would have done differently, my recommendation as a counsel would have been, why don't you go ahead and pardon Donald Trump for all his charges and make it, it had gone down a lot more balanced, if you will. I'm just saying, wipe them out.
What do you think this does for his legacy?
I don't know. From that standpoint, it makes it difficult.
Make all the ugliness go away. We'll pardon you, and you pardon all of our criminal friends. This has been picked up now by Jim Clyburn, who provided more detail amid growing discussion of preemptive pardons that Biden may issue. I know our friend John Hindraker from Powerline Blog dismissed the prospect, but I'm not so sure. Here's Clybourne suggesting what Biden should do.
I have not urged the president directly, but I did have that discussion with members of his staff that I thought he ought to do that. I think we need to clear the air in this country, get this election, because I think that we are trying to run a government on behalf of all the people of this country. And if we spend all of our time going forward pursuing Trump or Trump pursuing Liz Cheney, Jack Smith, Dr. Fauci, that is what we need to get off the table. And so I've asked the president's people to consider preemptive pardons for all those people. Get it off the table. Because I know Donald Trump, and I think the country knows Donald Trump. And as soon as he gets to the point where he can get the credit for it, he'll do it. And so I asked the president to move forward doing this.
So preemptive pardons for Cheney and Fauci and Jack Smith and Adam Schiff and whoever else is on their wish list in exchange for a Biden pardon of Trump. What do you think? Do the deal? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
I don't know. They're shifty. I don't really trust them. And then don't forget Reverend Jackson. He's, well...
I don't think Jesse Jackson is... First of all, he's not a reverend. He is a reverend in the same way that Father Guido Sarducci was a priest. So that he's not a reverend. But number two, I don't think Jesse Jackson Jr. is exactly on their wish list. He's pretty far down the list. These are people that they fear... Gosh, and why would they fear Trump going after them, Trump's Department of Justice going after them for... the possible crimes. Well, what else would the Department of Justice go after somebody for? At least a Department of Justice on the level, as opposed to a politicized Department of Justice under Biden and Merrick Garland that went after Trump for non-crimes. But the question is the deal.
Well, what did Liz Cheney do that could be a crime? Or it just doesn't matter? Just put the Department of Justice on her?
No. You have to have a legitimate predicate.
Okay.
And we don't know.
So what did she do?
We would like to see, for example, her interactions with some of the witnesses before that J6 Star Chamber.
Oh.
Did she suborn perjury for witnesses under oath, for example?
Okay.
The question is, make the deal. Whoever is on Jim Clybourne's list in exchange for Trump. This is like, all your draft picks for Ricky Williams, and it probably will work out just about as well as it did for Ditka. Jim Clybourne, by the way, just to show how completely full of bull jive these people are, and Clybourne is at the top, near the top of the list. Maybe not the top, but he's near the top. He's in the conversation to be on the top. This is just a couple of weeks ago, about a week before the election, Jim Clybourne on Cavuto.
But now they are seeing it.
Well, how are we seeing it? He's not president yet. I mean, are you visiting another Hitler? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I said the 1930s in Germany.
Yes, you did.
And, of course, and we can go to Mussolini in Italy. These things...
So you don't think that's a little hyperbolic?
No, you may think so.
Okay.
I'll tell you what's hyperbolic is asking the Senate to approve all your nominees without any vetting. That's what's happened.
So a couple of weeks ago, Trump was Hitler Mussolini. Now let's pardon him so we get our guys pardoned, and let's just put this all behind us. You want to make that deal? Patrick in Glenview, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Patrick.
Serve. I think they should be tried if they committed crimes and serve time. If that's the penalty. They tried to put our guy away for 900 years and all of the kinds of stuff, and us that were supporting him also went through the same stress.
So no deal.
No deal.
Thanks for the call, Matt, South Bend.
Okay, I see this beginning of this being a full disclosure of what they had done, an apology for what they've done, and then also pledge to work with Republicans in every aspect of what they're going. If they can do that, that's the start. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Thank you for letting me talk.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Well, I mean, pledging to work with Republicans, what is that pledge worth? You need any sort of deal would require specific performance in my mind, but with penalties for failure to specifically perform. Here's an underlying question. Why does Trump need a pardon? Why does Trump need a pardon? This is a phony deal. Of course it is. Trump doesn't need a pardon. Well, those cases are all going away.
Right.
They effectively have. And they're not coming back. What is he, especially the federal cases, which are the only cases at bar here? I mean, Biden couldn't issue a pardon on the matters before the Fulton County courts or the Manhattan courts. So why does he need a pardon? There's no deal here to be made. Not to mention, Jim Jordan wants a DOJ investigation of Jack Smith. Oh, by the way, an employee under Jack Smith self-reported possible misconduct by his office. Do you want that investigated, or do you want Jack Smith to get a preemptory pardon?
I want that investigated.
The testimony that Fauci provided Congress under oath, and usually under questioning by Rand Paul, and the question of, did he perjure himself? In addition to other matters surrounding Fauci. But let's just start there, use that as an example. Do you want that fully looked into, or do you want to just give him a preemptory pardon and let him ride off into the sunset? Adam Schiff.
Soon to be senator.
Communiques with Robert Mueller's Russian collusion investigation. Do you want that disclosed, or do you just want to move along? I mean, Judicial Watch just got notice that by the judge in the case they filed in Fulton County that they are owed any communications between Fani Willis and Jack Smith. Just to go back to Jack Smith, I'd like to see those. Should we just pardon everybody and let it dissipate into the past, because there's too much to do prospectively? I think the Department of Justice can walk and chew gum. Dave in Romeoville.
Yeah, I'm not for this deal at all either. And I just want to see them squeezed out of Washington. I want the stories to come out, and I don't need the people to go to jail. I want to see security clearances pulled away from them and make them unable to work out of D.C. anymore. They just need to be pushed out.
Thanks for the call, Dave. Bob and Wilmette.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. I agree, Dan. Yeah, Trump doesn't need a pardon. He's weathered far and just play it out as it will. As for the rest of the slugs on the Democratic side, what I recommend is that Trump say, hey, I'll be happy to pardon all of you as long as you take a stand and admit your wrongdoing to the public. If you don't do that, then no pardon. Oh, and they'd have, each of them would have to wear a silly hat while making their confession.
Silly.
Okay. Right, of course. Yes. Yeah, if they agree to be put in stocks in the public square so that people can throw pies at them. Okay, I get it. We're going to go down this road now of specific performance for the pardon. Dance, monkey dance. Yeah, okay. Jordan in Antioch.
Good morning. Yeah, you don't want to waste time. You're there to serve the people and blah, blah, blah. But you did, Jimmy. You did for 4 years. And here's the thing about it is, they know nobody's going to go to jail over this, right? They know that. But what's going to happen is, well,
they're nervous enough to be proposing deals like this through Jim Clyburn.
I think what they're more nervous about is that these investigations are going to come out, and they're not going to waste the time trying to get this done before Trump loses his political capital before elections come up. But what they are afraid of, what they're definitely afraid of, is that it's going to get outed. And every single little dirty secret is going to be put out on X and everywhere else. And they're going to be just like what they did to Trump and what they're trying to do to Hegel and what they did to Kavanaugh. And they're going to be tried in the court of public opinion. And their donors and their moneymakers are going to cut bait, pull up stakes, and go find somebody else that's a little cleaner, a little younger, and a little more polished, and they're going to be left laying on the ditch as trash on the heap, and they're not going to have any more future. That's what they're seeing. That their career dissipation light is starting to blink, and now they want pardons so they can't. I really think that's the thing, right? They're going to lose relevance.
That's part of it. The other part of it is, having to lawyer up is expensive, and not all these people could survive that financially. So that's part of the turning the hunted on the hunters. So they get a little taste of what that's like. Again, where there's legitimate bases. Little taste of what that's like. The process is the punishment. Ralph and Rantoul.
Yeah, no deal. For the reasons that you said, Dan, I mean, number one, the pardons only cover federal things, not state or municipal. And the stuff that especially they did to Trump is change New York law specifically to apply to him, and then sunset it so that it only applies to him and won't apply to anybody else. It's completely frickin' crooked. And I think this is just another effort so that they can laugh at the stupidity of the Republicans, and Trump especially, in the future, like the Jeff Sessions recusal. Let's take away the law. Let's neuter his efforts before he even gets a chance to do anything. I think there are real crimes that they're concerned about. Now, they'll drag their feet. They'll do whatever they can to try to defer any sort of decision until after the midterms, which they're hoping they can clean up by making Trump ineffective the first 2 years anyway. But if he can get in and make things happen and, maybe wreck the cases by making the documents public, if they're not going to get any convictions, just trash him in the court of public opinion. Make all the documents, make it impossible to prosecute, and that's punishment enough in my eye, because I think that'll be effective.
Thanks for the call, Ralph. Well, all of a sudden, talking about pardon deals across the board, all of a sudden, at the Deal Book, New York Times annual FET, Bill Clinton is there to decry the criminalization of politics.
I think Biden should be pardoning Trump. And by the way, some people think that Trump should be pardoning Biden.
Well, I do think we should stop trying to criminalize politics. But on the other, I think we should.
Yeah. Say all the people clapping that wanted Trump put away. Yeah, I don't need to hear any more from Bubba. And Barack Obama is over at the Democracy Forum, talking about rigging the government.
There are going to be times, potentially, when one side tries to stack the deck and lock in a permanent grip on power, either by actively suppressing votes or politicizing the armed forces or using the judiciary, the criminal justice system to go after opponents. And in those circumstances, pluralism does not call for us to just stand back and say, well, I'm not sure that's okay. In those circumstances, a line has been crossed, and we have to stand firm.
Right, except the last 4 years. But now they're very concerned. I mean, could these people be any more transparent, any more obvious? And you want to cut a deal with them? You cut a deal with them that would just encourage them to try to get back? And if they did get back, they get back in, they do the same things they were doing for the past 4 years. The targets may be different, but the approach would be the same. And they'll have learned their lesson with this loss, where they'll double down, triple down on what they were doing the last 4 years.
I don't trust them.
Sean and Darian.
Yeah, I say prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. These people will never learn until you put them behind bars. How soon did we forget about the J6ers, right? I mean, it's pathetic, and we need to prosecute them.
Thanks for the call, Sean. You want to wipe this all away? How about January 6th? This story from Just the News this week, and now they've got a response from the union head of the U.S. Capitol Police. Special financial and professional benefits were provided Captain Michael Byrd, the officer who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt, that were not given to his fellow officers. The U.S. Capitol Police Union chairman is calling the special benefits given to Michael Byrd, we'll get to what they are, what a slap in the face to the rank-and-file officers of the United States Capitol Police, especially all who were on duty on Jan 6th. That's his statement. Byrd, House Democrat leadership pressured the Capitol Police to provide financial and other assistance to then Lieutenant Michael Byrd after the shooting that included a $37,000 retention bonus and help with $160,000 in private fundraising, housing, and a promotion to captain. The assistance far surpassed the support given to other officers who were serving on the Capitol grounds that day. The union head for the U.S. Capitol Police is demanding that Byrd be forced to repay the amounts he was given that exceeded the bonuses for the other officers. Not sure what makes Mike Byrd so special he thinks he needed to be taken care of by the department. USCP should give every officer a $37,000 bonus or have Mike Byrd pay it all back. Byrd was unsatisfied with the assistance, worked with at least one Democratic representative to secure even more benefits, specifically from a memorial fund dedicated to providing help to wounded officers. Byrd was not wounded. Promoted to captain in 2023. Wow. Despite a disciplinary record that you may remember included firing on a stolen vehicle in a residential neighborhood while off duty and a suspension for leaving his weapon unattended in a public restroom. So they want to just wipe this all away, like with a cloth, Hillary. I don't think so.
Got a great text message. Dan and Amy, if Biden issues preemptive pardons, I say prosecute them anyway, put them through the ordeal of a trial, ruin them financially. The pardon erases the sentence. It does not prevent the process of getting to a conviction.
You would never survive a motion to dismiss if you prosecuted somebody for crimes or for alleged crimes for which they've been preemptively pardoned. It doesn't work that way. Lucy in Lowell, Indiana.
You're the attorney here.
Well, not really.
Yes, I do not think they should make a deal. When you look like at Fauci, many people lost their lives during COVID. Yep. They lost their businesses. I mean, there was huge damage done to the United States. And if we allow this to continue, the Democrats and the deep state, I guess deep state is what I should say, the deep state is going to continue to try to pull the wool over people's eyes. And, this has to be brought into the light.
Thanks for the call, Lucy. Yeah, this is not Old Testament, as the D.C. press corps would have you believe. This is not eye for an eye. This is accountability. This is justice. You're not getting a pass where there is a legitimate basis to investigate criminal wrongdoing. Like, I don't know, Andy McCabe and the Department of Justice Inspector General's criminal referral. What I just mentioned about the whistleblower working under Jack Smith, who alleges office misconduct. Those are legitimate bases to look into. They need to be looked into. Nobody gets a preemptive pass. To do that would be to essentially say that lawfare is okay. And that's anti the rule of law. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
$20 million. No, it's not the national debt. It's the buying spree at Fox Valley Coins. And it's on from now until Thanksgiving. It's really the perfect storm. Gold and silver are at historic levels. Fox Valley Coins has a huge order to fill with one of their national clients. And September through Thanksgiving is always when coin dealers stock up for Christmas sales. They are especially looking for the old collector coins like silver dollars, all 1700s through early 1900s coins. All kinds of gold from broken jewelry to gold bars to the old coins, U.S. and foreign. All kinds of silver from sterling silverware to old coins and bars to Franklin Mint items. They can pay cash or check and make house calls on larger deals prior to Thanksgiving. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. They'll make free, no-obligation offers. Make that 20,000,001 reasons to go to Fox Valley Coins now. They give free in-store offers on your items.
AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, real quick, we want to offer our condolences to Vince from Crystal Lake. Remember, he used to call in all the time. He called in for years, and he worked at the Jewels for 31 years. Vince Biondi was his last name, and he passed away. So his family reached out and wanted us to know. So thank you for the years of calling into our show, and we are going to miss you.
Yes.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
7:37 on a more festive note.
Switching gears.
Ron Onesti and a collection of others will be joining us at 7:37 to talk about the O'Hareland Christmas concert, that is. O'Hareland Christmas concert this holiday season, 7:37.
But first, let's head back into the newsroom and say hello to Nikki Whaley, who's in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. It's 17 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The manhunt continues for the suspect accused of killing the CEO of the country's largest health insurance company on the streets of New York City. United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was shot to death Wednesday morning in front of the New York Hilton in Midtown Manhattan. Police say they've received an avalanche of tips about the suspect but are still unsure of his identity. The Illinois Department of Labor is trying to recover more than $3.8 million in back wages and benefits for hundreds of workers whose employers abruptly closed earlier this year. The IDOL filed 3 separate federal bankruptcy claims against Outfox Hospitality, Dom's Kitchen and Market, and Foxtrot Market. Officials say Dom's, Outfox, and Foxtrot informed workers the business were immediately closing in April without giving sufficient notice under state law. They later filed for federal bankruptcy protection before Foxtrot reopened some stores in September. News is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, anyplace. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago on December 23rd on their Lost Christmas Tour 2024. AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the Allstate Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm Rick. I'm in the best shape of my life. I play a lot of golf. I work out and ride my bike. I'm 63 and I can still almost hit a golf ball 300 yards. I mean, when I'm in the gym, I can do 90-pound dumbbells. That's what I did when I was young. As long as I'm living, I'll keep taking my Balance of Nature because it makes a big difference.
Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
Merry Christmas. This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673. Or
you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Power up the holiday and give a gift from the top of their wish list. Visit your local Steel dealer or shop online at SteelUSA.com.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Crash free, though. Seeing a snow mix on the shoulders. The roads mostly clear. Traffic is a service of Balance of Nature. Eden's in and out between Lake Cook and Montrose, less than 20. On the Kennedy, in from O'Hare to the Byrne interchange, 45 minutes. Very heavy, pretty much a parking lot. Inbound, Lawrence to Montrose. Kennedy outbound, downtown to O'Hare, just under 35 minutes. Eisenhower, inbound between 390 and the old post office, just about 45 minutes. Outbound, the same trip, just under 35. Inbound on the Stevenson, 355 to Lakeshore, 40 minutes. Stevenson outbound Lakeshore to Tri-State, less than 20. And Bishop Ford in from I-80 to the Dan Ryan, you're looking at just under 25 minutes. Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 50% off your preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code Chicago to save 50% as a preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm KT.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Brisk and cold, sunshine, a few clouds around today. High 31, partly cloudy tonight, low 27. Sunny clouds and breezy, not as cold tomorrow, the high 43. Partly sunny and breezy day on Sunday, the high Sunday at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. How can you get only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions? This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. As you know, on this show, we like to promote the arts and direct people's attention to the things that are beautiful in life, not always just the ugliness of politics. And that certainly is appropriate during the holiday season. So we have this Christmas concert coming up that we're going to discuss. I've got a couple of business items to discuss with Ron Onesti first, so we'll get to that. But I want to introduce Daniel Lobel, who is the president, creator, and executive producer at O'Hareland. Ted Pruthres, the secretary-treasurer at O'Hareland. Ron Onesti, who's the founder and president and CEO of Onesti Entertainment. He owns the Arcada Theater in St. Charles. And he's also the owner and senior advisory board chairman of O'Hareland. And then Bill Pesh, the Ignite the Spirit Fund. O'Hareland is a production company, and they have put together an O'Hareland Christmas concert that's going to be presented at the Des Plaines Theater on December 12th, and we want to talk about that. But first, welcome everybody.
You can speak now, gentlemen.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
So Ron, but before we get to the musical offerings, I think you were on the hit list that was put out by that Geneva trustee, Martha Paschke, for all the businesses in like Geneva and St. Charles, even as far as Wheaton, for businesses that had in some material way offended Trustee Paschke by supporting Republican candidates or hosting Republican events or putting a Trump sign in your business or saying you believe in God. I mean, various crimes, speech and thought crimes. And I just wanted to get your reaction to being listed.
Well, I mean, how much credibility did that list have? It was more of an entertainment piece than a documentarial piece. I mean, it just was really something that when people were calling me about this, I couldn't understand it. First of all, some of the events that we have, which were political in some fashion. I mean, I'm a venue that wasn't really technically representative of my views. I mean, I'm a venue that gets rented out and people have their events there, and that's what it was. And for this person to be judgmental like that, I mean, I think it was just more of a joke than anything else. I really couldn't believe it.
So you didn't reach out to her to tell her to get you off the list or anything, or ask her why she did it?
No, you know what? It just seems so foolish to me. I mean, I just couldn't believe it that somebody in a public using a public platform and a public official would be allowed to do that. So, and I can tell you, people love the Arcada Theater. It's iconic. Been around for, it'll be 100 years in about 14 months, and people were just bombing her with calls and letters and texts and everything. I mean, that's what I heard. So I did not reach out. I didn't want to give her the time of day, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. By the way, one other item of business. Yes. So I'm friends with Tony Svanacini, Ron, from American Eagle, and he said for me to tell you that I am friends with an Italian-American Sportsman of the Year because he thought you'd be very impressed with that.
Yes, I awarded that to him. Yes, but he's what a guy, what a company. A true American Eagle hero.
Yes. Okay.
And before we get on to this,
enough of that.
Do you hear what I hear in this musical that you're going to have a week from today? Where are the Columbus statues, and are they ever going to be going back up in Chicago? I made a room of Italians laugh here. No, what's the latest with that?
Well, I could tell there'd be my lawsuit's been going for about 3.5 years now. We've come to the end, actually, as of yesterday, to be honest with you. They'll be announced very, very soon. A very positive announcement. I've come up with a compromise offering, and the judge has ordered settlement conferences. We've had about half a dozen of them. And my attorneys, myself, along with the Chicago Park District attorneys and City of Chicago attorneys have come to an agreement. And it's going to be really cool, and it's something that they tried to squash. They tried to throw them away. They tried to hide the statues. We fought really hard and maintained our position, and we will emerge victorious, believe it or not. So it's a really cool thing that we'll be announcing very soon.
Please don't tell me the quid pro quo involves a statue of Lori Lightfoot going up in Grand Park.
Well, you know what? First of all, we'll save on concrete if we did that, so that's kind of cool.
Hey-o.
But no, not at all. We wouldn't do that because, of course, if you are looking for something to stone and pick up and take away the way they did the Columbus statue, maybe that is a good idea.
Yeah, very good. All right, let's talk about happy things. This Christmas concert that you and your colleagues have put on. Whoever wants to jump in, give us the backstory on this production and what people can expect if they attend.
Daniel?
So, this all began with Ron and I. We had a conversation. I wrote a new Christmas musical called Do You Hear What I Hear? And what we kind of brainstormed out was to try and have an event to announce the coming of a new musical. So we came up with the idea of having the concert to announce the coming and the birth of Do You Hear What I Hear, the musical, in O'Hareland. So Ron graciously, like everything else he's ever done when I've come to him and bugged him for some favor or some major ask, he usually says yes, which is kind of strange because we have a relationship now that's going back about 40 years. And the big story that if you really want to go back in time, in a true story, that Ron Onesti, and I'll say it on the radio, actually physically saved my life. I had a guy crack me over the head with a baseball bat one time, and when I was at Portage Park, and it's a long story, but the short part of it is when the guy was going to hit me a second time, little Ron Onesti, smallest guy on the baseball diamond, jumped on the guy's back and diverted that bat from hitting me across the head. So I owe him my life, but every time I ask him something, he's always doing me the favor. So go for it.
Wait. Well, okay, hold on a second. So, so I mean, is the friendly neighborhood softball game? What was the backstory on this?
We started a baseball league at Portage Park, a men's. It was 9-on-9 baseball game. You get your 9, we get our 9. We went out and played league ball like the Cubs. And before guys like me and Ron were done, we built it into 600 members. So when you are a business channel, this is kind of the fundamental start of my business experience. Was back in my 20s. I'm almost 62. So for 40 years, that entrepreneurial spirit, came to be in startup ventures just like that. We grew it to 600 members, 27 major league size rostered baseball teams that played baseball across Chicagoland, which now has evolved into the MSBL, the MABL, and so.
Yeah, but what about that night? Like, what did you do to antagonize this man?
Well,
to the point.
Well, if I don't know how much Ron remembers, but his team, who he sponsored out of Softball City, where we ordered all our equipment from. Ron was the guy in the neighborhood who could get things. And so we
like Red in Shawshank. Yeah, okay.
Right. So we built this league up. Ron was in the playoffs, winning, and in the middle of the game with 2 outs to go, the best player on the other team got in an argument with an umpire. And then I jumped in to settle the argument. The guy threw a wad of tobacco out of his mouth into my face. And I took a big swing. I missed, and he ducked, and I fell into the back of the dugout. And when I woke up, he was cracking me over the head with that bat. There you go.
All right, let's go back to the musical.
Wait a second.
Okay.
Will this be in any way memorialized in the musical? Because I think would add some spice to it.
Yeah, everything I write that goes into O'Hareland as far as creative properties has some sort of a life experience. So this is in there somewhere in some. Not this script, but some other script.
Right, well, what's the premise of Do You Hear What I Hear, which is going to be performed next Thursday night at the Des Plaines Theater in lovely Des Plaines, obviously.
So Do You Hear What I Hear, as far as the musical, is just a very simple Christmas story about a little girl who's searching to find the true meaning of Christmas. So the concert is gonna you've heard, we've Ted Putbress here, who's our head of audio and in our charity with Ron. We've cultivated a culture here in Chicago which is not typical to give birth to new musicals. So we're going to perform select songs. We have a number of original pieces that are written for the musical. My Changing Christmas would be one, and Hot Chocolate and a few others. And then we'll also perform a few of the standards, because the musical itself doesn't just run on brand new original stuff. There are some very recognizable songs, the Celine Dion song and Do You Hear What I Hear itself, that people would recognize. But it all lays into telling that story.
So, Ted, you're in charge of the sound for this? And
well, not necessarily sound. Actually, I'm like the bottle washer. I have recording experience, and Dana and I were together with Night Sphere many years ago, and we did some concerts with Ron. Ron was very gracious to help us at that particular point, and then COVID kicked in, and then my singer passed away about 5 years ago, actually yesterday. And Danny came over to my studio, and I was working on another album, and he brought a young lady there, and we started working on stuff, and he wrote this script, and I found the script to be interesting, and I've never done scripts before like this. And then when I finally discovered what the script was about, this exceptional young lady, or young girl, about 10 and a half years old, she's learning the true meaning of Christmas, and as she goes through that whole process, the story just evolves and evolves, and it really touched me. It really touched me, and for that reason, I came on board with this, and now I'm a partner with O'Hare Land, and there's a lot of things going on, and I'm obviously going to be part of the recording process, and also be part of the original process creation.
That's great. And then Ignite the Spirit, tell us that. So you're having a toy fundraiser at this concert, which is a week from tonight.
Yes. Once we heard about this play and about this concert, we were very excited that Dan reached out to us to see if they could donate to our charity. And with Ignite the Spirit's been around since 2003 and has donated over $2 million to 700 families of firemen and their families who have been injured on the job. And we knew that this was going to be a match made in heaven. I mean, we're going to ignite the spirit of Christmas. This was you couldn't write this stuff. This was too easy to get along with. So within the last few years, we've lost quite a few members from the fire department from Chicago. 9 members in the last 5.5 years, and our charity, everything we raise from this concert is going to go towards helping families like that decide to, that end up losing a member from their family and a member of our family on the fire department. But along with that, we have our core as firemen is to serve our community the best we can. So along with 15% of every ticket that's sold using the code IGNITE online, we also have a toy drive that we're going to be collecting at the door, and all that's going to be going to children in the hospitals. So at Lurie's, we'll make sure that they have a good Christmas as well. And we're glad to be part of O'Hare Land and partnering with T-10 and Ron Onesti Group. We're excited to be a part of this.
The concert is Do You Hear What I Hear at the Des Plaines Theater right there on Minor Street in downtown Des Plaines, December 12th, next Thursday. Tickets are available at DesPlainesTheater.com or oshows.com, and that's where you put in that code?
Yes, if you're going on for tickets to oshows.com, you can put in IGNITE as your promo code, and 15% of your purchase will go to Ignite the Spirit. Now, if you can't make it to the concert and you still want to make a donation, you can go to ignitethespirit.org and donate as much you'd like, and every penny counts. I can't stress enough on how much every dollar goes to the families of fallen or injured firefighters. Like I said, we've had 9 in the last 5.5 years members who have passed away, and several others injured severely, and it is just so important to get out there, donate, and especially this time of year. I know everybody's looking to do a little something nice for others, and I'm telling you, this is the way to go.
And Dan, this is going to be family friendly, no violence, right? No bats.
No bats. Family friendly, kid orientated. There's enough fun stuff for both grandmother, grandfather, mom, dad, and children alike. It's a story that transcends all of that. So,
that is Dan LaBelle. He's the president and creator, executive producer at O'Hareland. Also, Ted Putbress, secretary treasurer at O'Hareland. Ron Onesti, the founder, president, CEO of Onesti Entertainment, and senior advisory board chairman of O'Hareland, and Bill Pesh, you just heard from, Ignite the Spirit Fund. oshows.com for tickets, ignitethespirit.org if you want to make a direct donation to Ignite the Spirit. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Best of luck with the concert as well as the fundraising efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Dan, great show. We love you guys. Keep it going, man.
Thanks,
Thank you
Ron.
very much.
See you
Ron.
Thursday.
Oh, to Ron.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Scott Bartmus, co-founder of ESCO, a security and fire alarm services business, and a customer of Signature Bank. We work hard to give our customers peace of mind, so it's nice to know that while we have our customers' backs, partners like Signature Bank have ours. When COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty for many businesses, particularly surrounding the PPP loan program, with parameters and deadlines changing constantly. The executives from Signature Bank worked weekends alongside their staff, filling out and submitting applications to ensure they took care of us. That type of dedication is hard to find, but we found it with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Black Friday deals are happening now at Gat Guns in East Dundee. Come in Friday the 29th for huge savings on Taurus, Rossi, Savage Arms, ammunition, gun cases, accessories, and more at Gat Guns. On Saturday, November 30th, 6-hour reps will be available for even more sales and factory demos. The Glock rep will be in the store on December 3rd, ready to answer all your questions. The Black Friday deals keep going at Gat Guns with Smith & Wesson on Saturday, December 7th with the best discounts, rebates, and giveaways of the season. Gat Guns is loaded with thousands of guns, over 1 million rounds of ammo, and everything else a shooting enthusiast has on their wish list. Not sure what to select? Choose a gift card in any amount. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a first-time buyer, they've got something special just for you. Don't miss the sales going on now at Gat Guns in East Dundee, Illinois. For more information and directions, visit gatguns.com. That's gatguns.com.
You've probably heard about the efforts by automakers to take AM radio out of new vehicles. This initiative has gained momentum during the Biden administration with the push for EVs. So as we enter a new political era in 2025, it's crucial that voices like ours and the content you hear on this radio station remain accessible in every vehicle. You can help to secure the future of AM radio by texting AM to 52886. And urge your member of Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act that would keep AM radio in cars. Just text AM to 52886.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
A big rebound in hiring. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. More new jobs last month than expected, and way more than just the 36,000 in October.
227,000 jobs were created. The unemployment rate, 4.2%, is exactly in line with expectations on this.
That's Fox Business Network's Edward Lawrence. The reaction on Wall Street mostly positive. Stock futures have been rising modestly. The day after selling knocked the Dow and the Nasdaq off record highs. Cryptocurrencies have also surged lately. Bitcoin topped $100,000 for the first time this week. It's down a bit from that now as President-elect Trump picks another financial executive for his next administration.
David Sachs to be his artificial intelligence and crypto czar. That's a move seen very friendly to the crypto world. He's going to be in charge of guiding White House policy on crypto and AI, which Trump says the U.S. should lead the entire world on.
That's Fox's Bill Malugin near the Trump estate in West Palm Beach, Florida. The president-elect just posted on Truth Social about his defense secretary nominee, writing Pete Hegseth is doing very well, that his support is strong and deep, much more so than the fake news would have you believe. Amid sexual misconduct and other allegations, Hegseth calls an attempted media takedown.
I'm a different man than I was years ago, and that's a redemption story that I think a lot of Americans appreciate.
Now, the president-elect has also nominated Rodney Scott, a critic of Biden border policies, to be Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection ahead of mass deportations of illegal immigrants. Melania Trump, who will be the first lady again, just told Fox she's also getting her team ready.
I'm establishing everything what it needs so we could start on day one. Everybody's in and we start working.
It's day 3 of the New York City manhunt for the masked gunman who murdered United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
The NYPD is continuing to look at security camera footage. Pictures have been circulating of someone wearing a jacket while unmasked in the lobby of a hostel, and police say this is a person of interest in the shooting.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 18 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Police are still searching for the suspect who shot and killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York City on Wednesday. Former NYPD Chief Terry Monahan thinks fresh images released yesterday of the suspect show nearly his entire face, and that will be key.
Someone is going to know this person. Someone is going to make that phone call. And this individual will be in cuffs very soon, I'm sure.
There's reports that the suspect arrived in the city on a Greyhound bus out of Atlanta on November 24th. It's believed that he used a fake New Jersey ID to check into a hotel on the Upper West Side of Manhattan prior to the murder. President Biden helped usher in the holiday season with the annual lighting of the National Christmas Tree on Thursday.
I wish for you and for the nation, now and always, as we continue to seek the light of liberty and love, kindness and compassion, dignity and decency. Merry Christmas, America. Merry Christmas to all of you. May God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
This event marked one of the last public appearances by Biden as he prepares to celebrate his final Christmas in the White House. Mayor Johnson is naming a new leader of Chicago's Office of Reentry. Joseph Mapp was chosen to serve as Director of Reentry. The office will coordinate policies, programs, and initiatives to support Chicago residents returning to their communities after detention or incarceration. Mapp served more than 20 years in prison before he turned his life around. The Office of Reentry is being funded with cannabis revenue. News is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com. Lower.com Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Uber announcing a milestone. Uber Technologies and WeRide announcing the launch of their ride-hailing partnership in Abu Dhabi. This is the first time autonomous vehicles are available on the Uber platform outside the U.S. For the initial launch, each autonomous vehicle will have a safety operator present, and eventually in 2025, they'd like to have fully driverless commercial service planned. Uber also announcing this week that it and Alphabet's Waymo will be expanding its robo-taxi services to Miami in 2026. And some meme stocks are back in the news. GameStop stock jumping 6% Thursday. AMC Entertainment also saw a 6% bump. It all came after a cryptic post by Keith Gill, the influential trader known as Roaring Kitty. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lilian Wu, invested in you.
Charlie Kirk says the Trump team is ready.
We have a mandate this time. Popular vote, electoral vote. It's completely different. You have a Trump team that is prepared for the saboteurs. In 2016, 2017, D.C. wasn't afraid of Trump. They were kind of confused. How did this guy win? How do we do this? Now there is legitimate fear.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
The new administration has hinted at one of its boldest moves yet, America's return to the gold standard. Backing the U.S. dollar with gold would create stability in a time of rapid economic change, pushing the price of gold higher than we've seen in decades. Those who act now could be positioned to benefit the most. Premier Gold specializes in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other types of retirement accounts utilize a little-known loophole to move some of their savings into physical gold. Today, they'd like to send you a free gold standard kit to help you decide if this process is right for you. Call 606-800-8000 to take advantage of current rollover policies. Early action on physical gold could position your portfolio for maximum growth. Call Premier Gold at 606-800-8000. Call 606-800-8000 now. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm Rick. I'm in the best shape of my life. I play a lot of golf, I work out and ride my bike. I'm 63 and I can still almost hit a golf ball 300 yards. I mean, when I'm in the gym, I can do 90-pound dumbbells. That's what I did when I was young. As long as I'm living, I'll keep taking my Balance of Nature because it makes a big difference.
Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
Merry Christmas. This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
I know it's hard to believe, but Christmas is right around the corner. And if you're thinking about what gift to get the firearms enthusiast that may be on your list this year, I highly recommend. I love this company. The rifles, the shotguns, the revolvers, made right here in America by our friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Now, they've got 200 models to choose from, a wide variety of calibers and styles and prices, and you cannot go wrong with any of them. They're a great company. The easiest way to check out Henry's Firearms is to get a copy of their free holiday gift guide. Just go to their website. It's henryusa.com. Click on the catalog button in the top right-hand corner. They will mail the gift guide and a few decals, and it won't cost you a penny. So if you want to put something made in America under your Christmas tree, make sure you order the free gift guide and get free decals from Henry USA today. That's henryusa.com for a free gift guide and decals. henryusa.com. You're going to love this company. I love this company.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. 630-674-1551.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Seeing some snow mix on the shoulders, the roads mostly clear on this Friday morning drive. Eden's in and outbound Lake Cook to Montrose, just under 25 minutes. Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne interchange, an hour. And it's a parking lot inbound between Lawrence to Montrose. And you can add 5 more minutes in this stretch. And then on and off the brakes, Montrose to Sacramento. Now on the Kennedy outbound downtown to O'Hare, a 40-minute ride. Heavier Montrose to Harlem. Eisenhower inbound 390 to the old post office, an hour. On the reverse, it's 45 minutes. 55 northbound, 47 to 355. 45 minutes and crash-free. Inbound on the Stevenson, 355 to Lakeshore, just under an hour. You're heavier, though, between Harlem and Kedzie. And then on the Dan Ryan inbound, 95th to the Byrne interchange, about a 35-minute crash-free ride. 57 inbound, stop and go, Halstead to the Dan Ryan. From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm KT.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Brisk and cold, sunshine, a few clouds around today, high 31, partly cloudy tonight, low 27, sunny clouds and breezy, not as cold tomorrow, the high 43, partly sunny and breezy day on Sunday, the high Sunday at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, Dan, real quick. We've kind of buried the lead with that Do You Hear What I Hear musical. Todd Gershwin, of Broadway, he signed a 3-year deal to produce the Do You Hear What I Hear musical, which is, starting here in Chicago. So we forgot to mention that, kind of buried the lead there. So I just wanted people to know.
Okay. The jobs numbers for November are out, 227,000 jobs created. Unemployment ticked up a 1/10 of a point. These numbers don't really tell us much of anything. But something that is more telling is what's going on with AI. And so this interview that Sam Altman from ChatGPT gave to Fox News Sunday this past week is interesting, sort of giving us the state of play from his perspective on AI development, which is the source that has largely been responsible for buoying the markets. Play clip 1 from Sam Altman, the costs and benefits in terms of where we stand today.
People are using these tools already today as AI medical advisors. You hear from people who they couldn't diagnose some disease they had, and they had all these weird symptoms, and ChatGPT helped them. You hear from people who are using this as like an AI tutor. They're learning things they couldn't learn before. You hear people who are using this to help run their small business. Really wonderful things. And this is a tool that magnifies human ability in all these ways. I think we're at the very early innings of that, and we'll see incredible things. There's hundreds of millions of people using this already. There will be billions. And like with any other tool, people will be able to do things they just couldn't do before. And that really is, I think, how the world society gets better and better. On the downside, to get right at it, I'm sure this will impact jobs. Many jobs it'll make better and more productive, but some it'll make worse, and some will go away entirely. You can imagine cybersecurity incidents with these models where people use them to hack into systems. You can imagine our adversaries getting a hold of these and it being a national security issue. So I think we have a lot of work to do, and we really need to stay in the lead.
For more on all of this and more on markets, please be joined by Jim Perry, the president and CIO of Perry International Capital Partners.
James. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thank you, Dan.
So the jobs numbers first, but in the context of what Altman is saying about the state of the cost-benefit analysis on AI.
I think that the jobs number at 227,000 this morning was not a surprise. I think the hurricanes and weather and the Boeing strike were big factors in the low number last month, and I think this is kind of a bounce back. So generally speaking, the government numbers that we see for the economy for employment are fairly steady, slightly below pre-pandemic levels, but as you and I have talked about a lot, they don't really pick up the state of the employment situation in the country, mainly because the Bureau of Labor Statistics doesn't know how many people are working or getting new jobs because they don't know how many people are here, right? There's probably 10, 20, 30 million people in the country that are working that the government doesn't know about. So we have to take this with a grain of salt. I think what it does tell you very quickly is that the economy is growing at about 3%, 3.2% for the fourth quarter, and it's inflating at about 3.3%. And that's pretty good. The economy's doing all right. And I think within the context of AI, I think we have a lot to look forward to, and it's a pretty optimistic story going forward.
Well, some of us have a lot to look forward to, and others have less to look forward to, as Altman sort of indicated. But yeah, the net and the impact at present. I mean, is there any way to sort of get a handle on, as this technology is still in its nascency, but you have early adopters, and what sort of transformative impact it's registering to date?
I think it's a wild west, really. I mean, we don't really know how it's going to play out. But as Sam Altman did say, in the healthcare industry and many others, AI has been here for 10 and 15 years. And I think that it's transforming healthcare, that's for sure. It's being used at every single hospital in the country. It's improving diagnostics, and it's improving people's lives. And it's reducing errors and mistakes, and I think it's going to continue to do that. It's not just healthcare, though. Barron's had an article over the weekend about how AI is helping oil extraction in the Permian Basin. I don't know if you saw that or not, but the oil companies are using Microsoft Azure Cloud to increase output and reduce costs, and it's cleaner and safer for everybody who's working. So are there fewer people? Yes. But the point is that, this country is sort of, what are the numbers here? I want to look at it. This country is pumping 13.5 million barrels of oil a day, up from 5 million barrels of oil a day about 10 years ago. And they're doing it at about 70% less cost. And that's all because of AI. So I think AI is here. I think it's coming. I think it's going to be bigger. It's going to be in everything. I think it's going to help energy, healthcare, the legal profession, accounting, HR, any back office or corporate sort of headquarter staff stuff. The productivity is going to go up tremendously. So, and even government agencies will use it too. So I think it's going to be part of our lives going forward for the next 50 years.
So does that mean that we're still in the NVIDIA boom lit that and related companies, that because of the capacity that's going to need to be built, the infrastructure, and Altman also spoke to that
yes.
There's no reason to believe that markets won't continue to see growth?
I think we're very much in an NVIDIA boom. I think that the Mag 7, or let's just call it the top 10 or 15 or 20 technology companies that are out there, continue to gain market share. It kind of reminds me, Dan, of Amazon 15, 20 years ago, and Walmart before that. Amazon, famously, for 15 years, never had a net profit, right? But their revenues kept going up every single year. And Jeff Bezos always said, hey, it's not about the net income. And a lot of people said, yeah, it is. Just like they're saying about AI now. But the point is that now it's the largest retailer in the world, or the country anyway, and they continue to gain market share. And I think the hyperscalers, the Microsofts and the Googles and Amazons, these guys are in the same boat. They don't really need to make that much money right now. I mean, yes, investors would like to see it, but the fact is they're gaining market share every single day with more and more companies paying them for their cloud services, which are increasingly being enhanced by artificial intelligence.
And with respect to just sort of asset prices across the board, I mean, everything is on the upswing. Gold, obviously Bitcoin, the Dow, and now people are starting to talk about, a little bit, how sustainable is this? What's your prognosis on that? Is this sustainable for another quarter or two, as far as the eye can see?
Well, we'll see. I mean, first, just to finish up with AI, NVIDIA has probably got a 5-year lead on just about everybody else on these chips, right? So NVIDIA is making money, and the net profitability in the S&P is really down to about 7 companies over the last 4 years. So this is where the net profits are, and this is what the market's all about these days. So it's going to continue. As far as optimism is concerned going forward, I think it's pretty simple to say it's really all about spending cuts or future or prospective spending cuts from the new administration. And we think that that is going to be substantial. Maybe it's $500 billion in the first quarter or two. And I'm talking about a budget deficit of $2 trillion, right? So the government spent $7 trillion and brought in 5, deficit's 2. If they can bring that budget deficit down by, say, 500, right, in the first quarter or two, that money gets sort of unlocked from the public sector and is available to the private sector. So that's a good thing. Productivity should go up. If spending comes down, and the bond market sees this right now, so the bond market's been rallying, gold's been rallying, stocks have been rallying, investors are optimistic. Corporate executives, 67% are optimistic now. The number in August was 28%, right? So corporate executives are super bullish. Small businesses bullish, households bullish, even farmers are bullish, right? I saw a report yesterday that the survey of farmers is 75% of farmers are bullish. So everybody in the country realizes the new administration, if they can do what they say they're going to do, which is reduce the rising trajectory of debt and deficits in this country, inflation will come down. That's why the administration was elected into power. Inflation will come down because the majority of the people in this country named economics and inflation the number one issue of why they voted in the last election. If inflation comes down, interest rates will follow. If interest rates come down, asset values and risk assets, real estate and stocks will go up. And that's what we're seeing. The market feels optimistic because they anticipate that the new administration will be able to follow through on spending cuts in the next quarter or two.
But how long will it take before, we actually see relief in the grocery store or at the gas pump?
That's a very good question, Amy. I think with gas, it's probably easier. And we'll see that pretty quick because part of the new administration agenda really is deregulation. And I think that the Trump administration will increase production of carbon energy in this country pretty quickly. And I think that oil prices have a chance to go down to something like $2 a gallon, right, instead of 3 something. If that happens, imagine what would happen to all the prices of goods and services that are delivered to the people of this country, households, in places like grocery stores. Prices will start coming down, right? All this stuff that goes to the Jewel around Chicago and Publix down in Florida, it gets delivered by trucks. Those trucks have diesel fuel, right? And if diesel fuel goes down by a third in price, prices will come down. So I think you'll start seeing things pretty quickly. The problem with inflation is that a lot of it is already built into the cake, right? I mean, CPI is at 3.3. It is rising. It probably rises more in the next 2 to 3 months than it does in an anticipated fall. So I think the risk to this optimism is that inflation continues to rise because there's so much debt and there's still this big deficit and we still have to borrow money in the bond market. So, if the bond market doesn't like the idea that the spending cuts are coming, they can revolt a little bit and you can see higher rates. But I think I had a long conference call about that with the client yesterday, and they're bearish on bonds. And I said, I understand the point of view, but the way I look at it, if I balance out all the risks, my risk would be I think bonds will rally before they fall. And if they do fall, and if interest rates go up a little bit from here, 4.25% to 4.5% or 4.75%, I think I'll buy them. I think people should, because I don't see interest rates going up to 5% in 6 months like they did back in 03 or 23. Sorry.
I want to get your latest on Bitcoin since it cleared that $100,000 threshold briefly. And in particular, the story of MicroStrategy, if you're following that. I mean, the only thing that's hotter than Bitcoin right now is MicroStrategy. And do we have another sort of meme stock sort of run-up of both MicroStrategy and Bitcoin paired together that's based on fumes? And this is one of those don't be caught without a chair when the music stops? Or what is your take? What is your take on that?
Bitcoin is just under 100,000. I wrote about the MicroStrategy story in my weekly last week. It's a fascinating story. It's really, let's get back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the ultimate momentum trade, right? It's not a currency and it's not an asset. It is a technology. And one day, perhaps in the future, the next global reserve currency of the world will be digital. That makes some sense to me if it can be done responsibly and safely, right? That's not now. That's not 5 years from now, and that's not 10. But the Bitcoin trade is a momentum trade. And I think that everybody that's buying it and everybody that's speculating on it is hoping that somebody's going to buy it from them at a higher price. So from a fundamental standpoint, as an analyst, it scares me to death, right? But the point is, I've seen these things before, and the Bitcoin ETF story is a big one. The idea that the SEC chairman, Atkins, is going to come in and replace Gensler, and maybe there's a sovereign wealth fund in this country that's going to be Bitcoin. These are interesting things. And, the flows into the ETFs in Bitcoin are huge, too. In this year so far, $36 billion have gone into Bitcoin ETFs. $8 billion since Trump was elected, right? So this is a momentum trade. It can keep going for a while. Now, the MicroStrategy story, Michael Saylor is a smart guy. He has issued convertible bonds. Last week, 2 weeks ago now, he issued a $3 billion convertible bond with a 0% coupon, right? So he doesn't have to pay the bondholders, right? And the stock converts from a bond to a stock when MicroStrategy stock goes up 55% from the day it was issued, which is up, about $100 or $75 from there. So it's an unbelievable cheap way to raise money, and all he's doing is buying Bitcoin, by the way, right? So it's a leverage.
Bitcoin piece, right?
Yeah, he's using the $3 billion and buying Bitcoin, right? So it's a leveraged way to get more Bitcoin because he believes it's going to 1 million. And if he says, if I'm going to buy $1 billion, I'm going to buy 10 billion. I'm going to buy 10 billion, I'll buy 100 billion because that's what I think. So that's his strategy. And do I own MicroStrategy? No. Do I own some Bitcoin for a long time now? Yes. Do I look at the price every day? No. Do I anticipate that it's going to be a bedrock of my retirement savings fund? No. I do it so I can understand it. Do I understand it any better now than I did 10 years ago? No, I really don't. Am I an old guy who doesn't understand things like a libertarian? Yes. Every kid in the country that's 20 years old, 30 years old, they own some Bitcoin, right? They are all speculating on it. So intrinsically, I think it's not for the average generational wealth portfolio, but I think everybody should own some because as a momentum trade, it's probably got more to go.
Jim Perry is the founder and CIO of Perry International Capital Partners. Also does a nice little job of interviewing himself, as you just heard there. It was very good, Jim. We appreciate it. Made our job a lot easier. Jim, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
I try my hardest, and I don't do very well often, but thank you for the compliment anyway. I think there's one there somewhere.
All right. Thanks, James Perry. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They are a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor, or just click on the Give Life banner.
You've probably heard about the efforts by automakers to take AM radio out of new vehicles. This initiative has gained momentum during the Biden administration with the push for EVs. So as we enter a new political era in 2025, it's crucial that voices like ours and the content you hear on this radio station remain accessible in every vehicle. You can help to secure the future of AM radio by texting AM to 52886 and urge your member of Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act that would keep AM radio in cars. Just text AM to 52886.
AM 560, The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Yes, it's that time of the week, Open Mic Friday, taking your calls, 312-642-5600 on the turnkey.pro answer line. Your comments, compliments, concerns, general crack pottery, we'll take it all. And we start, as we do, with turnkey.pro founder David Kolsak.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. You sound like you're in a tin can this morning. I know you have some audio issues there, but anyway, I have a theory about this whole Hunter Biden scenario that's unfolding in front of us. I would make the claim that Biden knew that they were going to lose the election, and the only reason Hunter was ever charged for any of this stuff was for the pardon, not for the crimes themselves, because now they have a reason to pardon him going back to 2014. A pardon that covers that amount of time seems very odd. And the fact that they chose the year 2014 is puzzling and telling at the same time. Why not go back to the day that he was born or some other inconspicuous year? And that's why the guilty plea, nobody could figure that guilty plea out at the time. Oh, they're doing this to show that the Department of Justice is not politicized. That's not why they did this at all. They charged him in order to have a sweeping pardon of Hunter Biden from 2014 until now. So what happened in 2014, you might ask? What's the significance of that? Well, to begin with, as it pertains to Hunter Biden, May 14th or so in 2014, he was appointed to the board of Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company, probably the largest natural gas company in Ukraine at the time. He was compensated about $50,000 per month and had no experience, knowledge, or credentials to receive an appointment of that type. What else happened in 2014? Well, the Revolution of Dignity, also known as the Maidan Revolution or the Ukrainian Revolution, it took place in Ukraine of February 2014, where forces clashed with protesters in Kyiv, culminating in the ousting of President Viktor Yanukovych. I think that's how you pronounce it. Who was behind this? The CIA, I would guess. Mr. Deep State John McCain at the time told Ukrainian protesters that the U.S. was with them. So what do you do if you're the deep state and you're in a physical altercation that you created in another country and you've won? Yanukovych was ousted. And this was all about natural gas. So what would you do if you're the deep state? You would place somebody who you could control on the board of the largest natural gas producer in the country, Burisma. This is the commodity that they were after. So you place your guy Hunter on this board so you can control the country that you just so-called liberated. So now you see why the pardon had to go all the way back to 2014. The only reason Hunter Biden was charged was so that they could get this pardon and all the bad actors would be absolved of Hunter Biden's position of being placed on the board of Burisma in order to control the Ukrainians' largest asset, which is the country's natural gas company, so that the deep state could maintain control of it and the country at large. Now, there's many questions that I have beyond this line of thinking. Can a presidential pardon cover federal crimes that have only been investigated? Can a pardon cover a crime where there was no indictment or arrest? Do investigations alone count as charges being filed? And can you be pardoned if you've committed treason? Is there such a thing as a blanket pardon? So I'm sure there will be much talk of this in the coming weeks. And the question goes to who's next on the list? You know, is it Jim Biden? Is it Joe Biden himself? You hear all this talk of Biden making a list of Trump targets for him to, his targets that he wants to pardon. But once again, it's so in the face of the people. They're corrupt to the core, and the day of reckoning is near, hopefully, and I'll believe it when I see it. But the interesting thing about all of this is that Trump got impeached for making a phone call to ask Zelensky to look into all of this Burisma stuff. They said he targeted his political rival and then, quote unquote, lost an election. And now those very same crimes he questioned are being absolved by a presidential pardon from his political rival. The question is, will it work? So have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you, David. Amy, lead the way.
Well, you know how they're having the transgender issue. The Supreme Court is deciding whether or not it's constitutional under the 14th Amendment. There was a couple from Arizona, mom and dad, who claimed that their daughter, she didn't know, or he didn't know it too. They knew before that age on whether or not their daughter was a boy being a girl or trapped in the wrong body.
We're supporting our child, Violet, and her access to the medical care that she needs.
Yeah, we're here for her rights and her ability to be who she is. And she's not going to let anybody silence her, and we're not going to stand in her way.
What state are you from?
Arizona.
Okay. Are you concerned about how this case would affect Arizona, or do you think that would have an impact there?
Yes, 100% we're concerned, and we've discussed having to move, which we don't want to do, but Violet comes first, and her medical care and her medical needs come first, so we'll see what happens.
Wait for it.
And what age do you think most trans kids determine that they're trans?
Violet told us when she was 1.5. She's been telling us since she could speak. So she knew since birth.
So take that, not 2, but at 1.5, she knew, or he knew, that he was in the wrong body. I just don't think that's possible. Dan, are you there?
Okay. Yeah. That was all for that point. Okay, great. It's not 2, as Chase Strangio says. It's at birth. Okay, got it. Okay. Phones?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Let's go to Eduardo in Tampa Bay. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, good morning. Well, this weekend at the reopening of Notre Dame, you're going to have heads of state over there trying to whisper into President Trump about tariffs and Ukraine. So stay tuned on that.
Dan, do we dare take Kevin in Ogden Dunes?
The Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister of Ireland. Oh, wait, he has some breaking news, everybody. What is it? Hi, Kevin. Or Prime Minister.
Hi, Amy, how are you? Dan, perspicacious prof. Am announcing breaking news. That type of news that dances seductively on your brain until it twirls on its back in the middle of the floor. Breaking news. As an initiative of Gimme Dat Enterprises, Chicago's contrite and charitable mayor will be repaying the $30,000 large that he supposedly spent for hair care by launching a line of hair care products, which will be sold to all the men who frequent the chain of city-owned brothels the mayor will be launching with Governor J.B. Lizzo. Each of these franchised cat houses will be called the Home for Wayward Models, the halfway house on Half Day Road. It's a 501c3, and the gals will wear 501c through.
Heyo.
I know.
This wayward model. This wayward model name was chosen so that the bordellos will be welcomed in the better neighborhoods of Wilmette and Kenilworth. That gal's so much a dog, she's Kenilworth. In addition to the hair care line, the mayor's launching a minty mouthwash made of linseed oil, castor oil, and a dash of crude oil, and will feature a picture of the mayor's face on the jar. It's called Gargoyle. The marketing campaign will actually run a radio spot on the Morning Answer. If you want that hearty squeeze, buy our female antifreeze Gargoyle.
Okay, Prime Minister, thank you very much. But it is interesting. There was some movement on the sex workers industry, as the left likes to call it.
Yeah.
Belgium. In Belgium, they've unionized.
Oh, they have.
They've unionized. They get pensions now, and they're also. I guess they have new rights. Do they need these rights? Where they can choose not to perform a sex act that has been requested.
Oh, really?
So once the move to legalize prostitution takes place, and I expect it will happen in one of these lost cities, like Chicago, frankly. It will be interesting to see how quickly they become, the local 132. They'll fold into the SEIU, or SEIU seems like the most likely, and become part of that. Yeah. Just interesting. Whatever happens in Brussels happens in Chicago, as I always say.
Did you hear what happened at the VA facility in D.C.? I can't even explain it. I'm going to let Jesse Waters explain it because this is really bizarro world.
And when they're not coming into work, they're having sex at work. Did you hear about the orgy at the VA? No. There's a 12-person orgy that they just busted up at the Veterans Affairs Administration. They were doing it on the clock. They were doing it at the hospital. And no one's been fired so far. One guy slept with 32 coworkers.
Wow.
Veterans Affairs, literally, Tyrus. So Doge needs to...
Talk about working.
Yeah, give this guy a round of applause. Yeah. But so this is taxpayer-funded orgies, and that's, if I was Musk, I'd start right there to chop. Now, I found some...
And the man who slept with 32 people is a biomedical staffer. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Men and women?
Men and women, yes.
Or?
I mean, it was a big orgy,
Sure.
so there's 12 of them were caught in an orgy. Yes, men and women. And then this man, this biomedical engineer, who they say also is the Mountain Home Facility Director, this behavior was going back and forth as far as 2020. So, yeah.
I suppose if it's good enough for the Secret Service. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sick. Okay, maybe they can form a union too, Dan. What do you think?
I think we go back to the phones.
Yes. All right, let's go to Rich in Indian Head Park here on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hi, Rich.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. The question I have for you is, can Biden give a preemptive pardon to people that he thinks when Trump gets back in the White House might go after? Like
Yes.
people like Fauci or...
Yes.
or,
Yes. That's why we're
Schiff.
discussing it. Yes, he can.
Okay.
Yes.
He can do it.
Yes.
And he can give that to anyone he cares to, right?
Correct. He's being. We talked earlier in the show. It's not only it's something he can do. He's being recommended to do it by buddies of his, like Congressman Jim Clyburn from South Carolina. So that's certainly being discussed, if not debated, at this point.
And do you have any idea who he might give that to?
Well, I mean, you heard from Jim Clyburn and others, anybody who they think would be a target of Trump's DOJ, anybody, frankly, who I think they think may have criminal exposure. They could just call it, it's Trump going after vengeance, so on and so forth. But Jack Smith, the prosecutors, all of the Trump prosecutors, both federal and state, I would say, in addition to the Adam Schiffs and the Tony Fauci's and the Liz Cheney's. These are all names that are circulating.
Right. All right, good. Thanks. You guys have a good weekend.
Thanks, Rich. You too. Let's go to Tom in Mokina. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. I'm glad I caught that segment on AI. I actually personally use Perplexity every day, which is an AI agent. And like Sam Altman and your guest said, I mean, people are using this for their business. I feel like it gives me more precise results than Google. And it's actually a fun program to bounce ideas off of because it will take your idea, it'll follow your logic, and then it'll help speculate and extrapolate on things for you. And I think that Perplexity, because there's probably like a dozen of them out there, gives a more unbiased search result. So like ChatGPT kind of gives a negative connotation to AM 560 or conservative people. But with Perplexity, you're going to get more of a result that gives you the pros and cons and more of an honest breakdown or links to things that are, I guess, more fair, I'd say. So just for what it's worth. And I mean, it offers opportunities to like discover stuff that you never knew existed based on the problems you might have in a small business, which I've found fascinating these last few months.
Yeah, very interesting.
Really cool.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Appreciate that. This is something that we're all grappling with, trying to get our hands around. It's always good to hear from people that are practitioners using it for specific reasons in their professional life and so forth. We're going to stay on it and try to provide. We will provide more experts in the sector as this thing develops, because as Jim Perry said, it's still the Wild West.
All right, let's go to David in LaGrange Park. Good morning. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, I know you were talking before about that San Jose transgender volleyball player meeting at a hotel with an opposing player to hurt one of her own players. Now, I knew about this more than a month ago while the season was going on. So the NCAA, the San Jose State University, the athletic department all knew about this, and she was able to play out the rest of the season. And if I can extend upon that, so if somebody wants to collude with another player, with all this legalized gambling, how many Division I point guards are going to meet with another point guard for another team to say, hey, we're going to shave some points and we're both promised $100,000?
Well, I mean, it's always possible. We've had point shaving scandals in college basketball before, but I'd probably say it's less likely now with the NIL money, right? So you don't. You're risking your NIL money to cheat or to throw in with gamblers where you didn't have that money before. Not that I'm not necessarily a fan of the NIL regime at the NCAA right now, but you always have the prospect of cheating and colluding with gamblers. Maybe less so with the money that college players are making now.
Well, now the money's much bigger.
Well, right.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, what am I gonna be promised? I guess, right. The industry's gotten bigger. There's more gambling going on. But if I'm making, I don't know, $250,000, $500,000, some of these kids are making seven figures in NIL money. I'm going to throw in with gamblers, and the guys that are making the NIL money are the guys you're going to want to conspire with if you're a gambler trying to fix a game, because those are guys that are impactful on the outcome.
Well, you know what, though? If you can convince a Division I player who has no NBA prospects and get them into gambling debt, handle them, and then start point shaving or throw games, the money could be huge.
Well, sure, but that was the case before NIL too, and we saw point shaving scandals, at Tulane and Northwestern, Boston College
back in the day.
Yeah, Amy.
Ronnie Bell, what was his name? Yeah. No, not Ronnie Bell. Harmon, wasn't it? Oh God, I can't remember, but I'll look it up. But I remember he dropped a pass in the end zone during the Rose Bowl, and uncontested. There's no defender even around him. He had the ball and then he dropped it, and it turned out that he got paid off.
Well, that's just because Iowa had just introduced the forward pass into their offense.
Stop.
All right.
Thanks, David, for the phone call. Let's go to Bob in Buffalo Grove. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Amy and Dan. Always good talking to you. In your discussion in the week, you mentioned Trump's appointees and the various attacks on them and the apparent smears of the nominees. Are you aware of something called the wrap-up smear?
Yeah, it's Nancy Pelosi. We played that clip of Nancy Pelosi just explaining what the wrap-up smear is any number of times over the years. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I missed it this week, but it's something you ought to take a look at. One other comment with regards to the Daniel Penny case. Maybe I don't know if it'll come true, but let's say he does be found guilty by the jury. It'd be a miscarriage of justice to me. Should Biden or even Trump consider a pardon?
State level crime, can't pardon him. It'd be a gubernatorial question. It would be a Kathy Hochul question. Would Kathy Hochul intervene to pardon him?
Well, you guys have a good weekend. Thanks for talking to me.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for calling in. Somebody is calling in that just had a lunch date for you, or has a lunch date suggestion for you, Dan. That's George in Naperville. Hello, George. How are
wonderful.
Hello, Dan. I would wonder if you would consider It's Just Lunch Date with a lovely hyperventing lady affiliated with the Downers Grove Library System, so you both can discuss the great books of our time.
That would be an enjoyable, interesting lunch. Leslie Sadowski Fugit is who George in Naperville is referring to. Yeah, she can. She's welcome to come on the show. I know she's very disappointed that I'm a resident of Florida now, so I'm considering buying the house next to her. But I'll let you know how that turns out, George.
Oh, that's great. Oh, my God. Yeah, I finally watched that video. It's on Dan's Twitter, or X, excuse me, if you want to see it, under Dan Proft. Dan, you're still not following me on Twitter, by the way, but thanks. That's okay. Or X.
Yeah, I have exacting standards. I wanted to get to Josh Hawley, because this seems like it's something that would be in your wheelhouse of complaints as well as for many people. Josh Hawley had all these airline CEOs, well, not just him, but all these airline CEOs appear before the Senate committee, and Josh Hawley questioning them about these what he would call junk fees, like the payment structure that airlines use to determine how much that different passengers get charged for their carry-on bags.
Oh, I hate
it's really
this,
interesting.
Such a racket.
Well, that's what he was getting to. It's really interesting because I don't really pay that much attention to it. So I was interested to hear some of the admissions from these airline CEOs. Let's play a clip one from Hawley on the bounties.
Mr. Schroeder, let's start with you. Do you charge a bounty? Do you pay employees bounties on carry-on bags to identify them?
Well,
That's a yes or no.
I wouldn't characterize it as a bounty.
Do you charge them, do you pay your employees a fee? Do you incentivize them to go pick out bags from people getting on planes and kick them off the flight? Just yes or no?
We charge them an incentive.
Okay, that's a yes. Mr. Klein.
We do not, Senator Hawley.
You don't pay your employees to do that?
We have previously, sir, but we actually suspended that on September 30th of this year. And now in order to be able to treat all of our guests fairly and equitably, we've actually just put more staff and supervisors out at the gate area, and they're the ones that are still making sure that everyone's treated fairly and equitably, which is the point behind these kinds of programs, but we have removed that program as of September 30th.
Oh, interesting. So let's come back to you, though, Mr. Schroeder. So how much have you paid your gate agents to enforce your carry-on bag policy, to pick people out of the line like the chairman's video show? I mean, you guys do appreciate that flying on your airlines is a disaster, don't you? I'm slightly amazed by the general attitude of all of you here. Flying on your airlines is horrible. It's a terrible experience. I mean, I say this as a father of 3 young children, but I can't tell you, nobody enjoys flying on your airlines. It's a disaster. You charge people fees that they know nothing about. You harass them to death. I'll never forget, Mr. Johnson, during COVID when an attendant on your airline threatened my wife because our then 5-year-old son, his mask had slipped. This is back when we all had to wear those ridiculous masks. His mask had slipped below his nose. This flight attendant came up to my wife and said, if she didn't keep that mask over his nose at all points on this 4-hour flight, she would personally see that my wife was banned from flying. This has happened over and over to families. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And your attitude here today seems to be, well, devil may care. There's nothing we can do about it. Well, I think we are going to do something about it. So how much have you paid people to pull out customers who are in line with a bag that's 2 centimeters too big, Mr. Schroeder?
Well, we recognize this is a hard job, and so therefore we incentivize them to do that.
How much?
It's $10 per bag.
Wow, $10 per bag. And I think, Mr. Klein, you and Mr. Schroeder, your airlines cumulatively have spent $26 million paying gate agents between 2022 and 2023 to catch passengers whose bags are a little bit too big. $26 million. I mean, if people want to know why it's such a terrible experience to fly, this is news for them today. Your airlines are paying millions of dollars to your employees to harass people who've already paid. They're there in line because they've already paid. It's unbelievable.
Oh my God. I will never look at the ticket agent the same ever again. I had no idea they got cash incentives for grabbing our bags.
I didn't
there's
know
no
that either. That's interesting.
Yeah. And then one time, this one flight attendant or ticket agent said to me, well, no, we've got to check your bag. I said, you're not checking my bag. There's room overhead. I know that there is because the people that are boarding before me, and I'm sorry, I'm a snob. I'm normally in group 1. They're not even bringing bags. So I am going to take my.
Did she say, ma'am, calm down? Ma'am, calm down.
No, I just grabbed, and I said, no, I'm not leaving my bag. And then my sister just took her bag. She just grabbed it. She's like, I'm putting my bag on my plane. I'm not being separated from my bag. So I had no idea. Wow. Okay, I'm not going to look at them ever the same again. And they're not touching my bag. But all these stupid fees, like, Peyton and Eli, I had to fly them from St. Louis to Chicago a one-way after Thanksgiving. And he calls me up after I drop him off at St. Louis Airport. He's like, they want $40 from my bag. I said, well, what about your brother's bag? No, he's fine. Like, okay, this makes no sense. All of a sudden, you just have this $40 fee. And then if you want to use the internet or the Wi-Fi, it's $24. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Holly got to that as well. I'm not necessarily supportive of the federal government getting in and managing the airlines' business models, but it is interesting to learn about the incentives that are being presented and to have that brought into the light of day. And he talked about that too. About he had an interaction with them about how they determine different fees for different people when it comes to the carry-ons as well, like you're talking about. It was really illuminating stuff I didn't know about how the incentives are aligned with these airlines sort of against their passengers. And to his point about how the experience of flying is so unenjoyable, I find that generally to be the case too.
Do you want me to play Howley too, or skip it?
No, we'll go on.
Okay. All right, let's go.
People have airplane horror stories.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't have an airplane.
Or anybody in the airline industry.
Yes. 312-642-5600. Let's go to Ruth and Elgin. Hi, Ruth. How are you?
Hi. How are you this morning?
We're fantastic.
Good. My question is, with all these pardons going around, like say Cheney, if someone was pardoned and then they wanted to sue her, can they do a civil suit?
Yes.
Even though she's pardoned?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
First of all, the pardon is for criminal, and the standards of evidence are different in the civil suit. But yes, she could be sued civilly.
All right. Thanks, Ruth, for the phone call. Let's go to Tom in Blue Island. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hi, Tom.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Thanks for taking the call. Dan, I just wanted to get your opinion quickly on something Ralph had said. Ralph brought up Jeff Sessions earlier, who was, if you remember, one of the first senators to support Trump, and then he recused himself when this phony Russiagate thing started. And my question for you is, how did he not know it was phony? And why did he wimp out so quick? And where has he gone where he's not asked about this at all? It just, something there to me just doesn't smell right.
Oh, I don't know that Sessions was a conspirator in that, if that's what you're implying. I think it was his belief that he was just sort of too close to Trump to be the lead investigator. I'm not saying that was ultimately the right decision, but I'll tell you one of the things it highlights. It highlights how important it is to have a leadership team in these massive agencies with massive power, in addition to the actual secretary. So, for example, the deputy attorney general that took over the case was who? Was Rod Rosenstein. And had it been somebody that was aligned with Trump's mission and a little bit more skeptical of the intel community, then perhaps that thing would have gone very differently. So, it's just another. It's a good example of team, not just the one individual.
All right, let's close it out with Chuck. Chuck and Delavan, how are you?
Hey, big shout out to my dentist in Naperville, Beth and Joe Michaels, for a beautiful smile, so I can say Merry Christmas. Amy, thank you for mentioning my band, Not Touching My Bag. And then tomorrow, big breakfast at the Como Clubhouse across the street from the Thirsty Parrot. Mr. and Mrs. Kloss will be there. And then tomorrow night, they got the lighting for downtown Lake Geneva. I won't be the Santa Claus. I wasn't good enough. I'm good enough to do an Oreo cookie commercial, but not good enough.
A lot more Americans were hired last month. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The November jobs report came in better than expected, much better than a month ago.
Employers added 227,000 jobs, topping the forecast. October's disappointing number, affected by hurricanes and strikes, was revised up to 36,000 from the initial read of 12,000.
Fox's Lillian Wu also reports
the unemployment rate edged higher to 4.2% as expected.
Now, despite that increase of 0.1%,